Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the April 25th, 2023 regular meeting of the Dearborn Heights City Council, being called to order at 6:18 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Dave Abdallah,
Here.
Hassan Ahmad,
Here.
Mo Beydoun,
Here.
Nancy Breyer. Here. Robert Constant,
Here.
Maria Muscat,
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Tom
Much
Wenzel.
appreciated. Next up,
you got a quorum. You're good.
we're good? Okay. Next up is our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this time by Councilman Mo Beydoun.
Wow, he finally chose me.
That was-
For the record, guys, 3 years, he's never chosen me.
Hey, that's your
That was the
second.
second time.
Yeah, because
That was the second time in a month.
it was a closed session or a study session or something. It was nobody
It
in here.
didn't count, yeah. He had lobbyists come after me, too. We got it. All right, you're good, you're good. All right, next up on our agenda is agenda approvals.
Council Chair,
Councilman
I
Beydoun.
move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the agenda of the regular meeting of April 25th, 2023 as submitted, with the addition of item 9G CEDD Director Jamal, 2022-2023 CDBG CV of substantial amendment table, and take this motion out of order prior to item 7A.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Beydoun and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. And just for clarification, this was an additional item that was sent over by the CEDD director that needed to be added on the agenda in order for item 7A to be approved and to be able to get the funding for it. So I authorized that to be added on, and that's why it's being added to the agenda. Okay? Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
I'd like to walk on an item. I've been getting calls for the last couple of months about certain meetings that aren't broadcast on the city website or the city page and on YouTube.
That's a different item, Council.
Yeah, but, and I want to make a motion that we put all the meetings have to go on air, and they can be edited for language and things of that nature. We have a great staff that could do that, but they have 3 or 4 meetings in the last year that have not aired yet. It's, the public needs to see all these meetings instead of being withheld.
Okay, so just to be clear, Councilman, in summary, you're asking for meetings that, are you speaking of
All
something from here in the
meetings.
future, or are you speaking of something in the past?
It's in the past year, all the meetings, the past year from now on, every meeting gets broadcast, with the exception of any content, because there's swearing that goes on, that got broadcast before. There's reasons for meetings not being put on air for some reason that we don't know why. But I've had a lot of people talk to me about it, and they said, how come that meeting hasn't been on yet, or how come this meeting hasn't been on yet? And it's like withholding, it's not being transparent, it's just withholding meetings from the public that can't make it to the meeting or watch it on Zoom.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're just basically at this point just making a statement, is that correct?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that all meetings in the last year be aired that haven't, and from now on, every meeting be aired in a timely manner within a few days of the meeting.
Okay, so a motion made by Councilman Tom Wenzel to be added to this particular agenda, to add previously held city council meetings that were not aired on YouTube. Is there anything else?
The city website where they broadcast the
Yeah, and on the city website, of course,
city page.
cable, et cetera. Anybody second that?
I second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Is there any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat and Councilman.
According
Constant.
to MML, the Michigan Municipal League, I checked into this. There is no requirement that meetings are to be put on public TV or anything of that nature.
I don't think they have to be on Zoom.
Wait.
They don't have to be on Zoom
That's not the point.
or televised. There's no requirement, okay? According to the parliamentarian, and I spoke to that, I think it's a courtesy that we can extend, but I just want to make that clear. So, when you vote and you say yes or no, you're not violating any any Open Meetings Act law, okay?
Okay, Councilman Constant, go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. And just to echo what our Vice Chair Ray Musket just said, yeah, so all our meetings are public. They're held the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. I'm just not sure what exactly Councilman Wenzel is trying to say with this motion, this particular motion. I just don't understand what he's
There
getting
were-
at, because what he's saying is just a statement. It's not a motion.
No, he's making a directive to the administration to go ahead and air these, I believe is what he's
Well,
saying.
no,
Is that correct?
that's what he believes, but
Council
that's
Chair?
not what it.
Yes, Councilman.
You know, I never said that this was something that was mandatory. I'm saying, when you go on the city website, you look at council meetings, and you can bring up any meeting that's on there. Normally, they broadcast a meeting on the city's website within a few days. And some meetings have been withheld. And I'm just saying, we're doing it anyway. I'm just saying, instead of just selectively keeping a few off, let's make a motion that all of them be put on, or just all of them taken off. You know, I mean, this is for the public. This is for the people that don't see a Zoom or don't come in to the meetings. And they like to go on, the city website and watch a meeting. And there's certain meetings that have not been on the city's website.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman.
Council Chair?
Council,
Go ahead, Councilman.
And, look, I think it's important that we also recognize that, one, this is a council meeting. This is all 7 hour meeting right here, right? And it's open to the public. And there's nothing wrong with being transparent. There's nothing wrong with putting this video out there. And if the videos need to be on there, I mean, look, everyone in here's seen it. There's one being recorded right now. There's no reason why we don't put every video on there. It's not like anything out here is happening that's forbidden or nobody should know about. I mean, almost every single meeting, you got 30 people on Zoom and about 15 to 20 people at our council meeting. Like, I don't think anybody in here has anything to hide. I don't think the administration has anything to hide, nor this council. Let's just have everything posted online. It's not that
Okay.
big of a deal.
Madam Clerk?
well, you can just do this a couple ways. If you're going to amend the motion, because you already have a motion on the table to approve the agenda.
Right.
With the addition. And then now are you going to amend that motion?
That's what we're going to decide.
Okay.
Yep, no problem.
Or suspend the rules
Okay.
later and then make a motion?
Okay.
Okay.
So just one comment from me, as a lot of you are aware, I'm always going to be in favor of, I'm in favor of everything being aired, to be honest with you. Just, yeah, there was some concern from, I know, some members that there was, obviously some swearing, et cetera, et cetera. So anything that's rated R, rated PG-13, whatever heck rating you want to call it, take that out. But beyond that, I'm all for transparency. That's why as you are aware, with people that come to the podium, I'm always going to allow people to speak because I'm a huge believer in our Constitution and freedom of speech. And to me, yes, I would be in favor of those being aired. But
Counsel-
that's, go ahead.
Council Chair?
Yes,
Thank you. You just read my mind. Like Councilman Wenzel said, either we air it all or we stop it all. Whether unless it violates some kind of law, then it's a different story, so.
Right, I mean, obviously swear words would have to be edited out or whatever. So Corporation Council, I know at one point we had spoken about this a while back, so did you want to comment on this, or?
Well, we were following the AG's opinion letter from February of 2022. And I think it's not a violation of the Open Meetings Act to not have it aired and broadcast, as the chair has indicated. Obviously, we have to follow the ADA requirements, and someone will have to follow the rules, and I believe it with Madam Clerk, if they have a disability and they need it to be able to see it, but that can be carried over. I don't think it's a violation of the Meetings Act.
Vince is saying we can't hear us.
Obviously, we would redact.
They can't
They
hear you
can't
on
hear you,
Zoom.
Roger. They can't hear you.
Is the microphone on?
Went off again. I think we would have to redact anything that is violative of any cursing, swearing, or other things that have happened. And anything that would be disclosing anyone's personal information, as some of the pictures and things that have been held up at some of these meetings.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Council.
Yeah, just echo what everybody has said, and I just want to add that the city cable television operators are not the only entity that broadcasts the city council meetings. So there's a member of the public here, former candidate for office, recording the meeting, and that's also broadcast. So in other words, the city isn't the exclusive entity and other groups record it, and it goes directly to, I believe, YouTube. That's
Okay.
all.
Thank you. Okay, so Councilman, since this is a motion you're bringing up, did you want to suspend the rules and make that as a separate motion? Or would the person that made the initial motion, which is Councilman Bedun, like to amend his motion?
There you go.
Yeah, just suspend the rules and,
So we'll do that later.
Yeah, we'll do it at
Okay.
the end.
All right, so then we'll have to
We'll
start
do that
yours all
later.
over again.
Well, no,
Okay.
we'll suspend the rules at the end.
Yes,
No, that's how we do it, that's how we did it last time, right?
yes.
Yeah, you
Wanna
suspend
do
the
it at
rules
the
at
end?
the
So
end.
you go ahead and you approve your agenda as it is, and
Yeah.
then when you're ready, maybe 9F or whatever, then you can,
Okay.
9G, then you can suspend the rules.
All right, so we'll go ahead and go into the first agenda approval. Motion made by
Oops, sorry.
Councilman Bedun, seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any other discussion on the agenda approval? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Council Chair,
Councilman Ahmad?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes for the special meeting of April 11th, 2023, as outlined in 4-A.
Support.
Motion made by Councilman Ahmad, supported by Councilman Bedun. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of April 11th, 2023.
Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the minutes for the regular meeting of April 11th, 2023, as outlined in 4B.
Support.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Muscat, supported by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item, want to get this going?
Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, I'll get it.
Next item on the agenda is public hearings and comment on agenda items only. And again, I don't want to ask somebody to step back down, so this is just on agenda items. You will have 2 minutes, and for those that are not, oh, we don't have the agenda up, it's okay. We'll have 2 minutes, you'll have 2 minutes to speak on anything on the agenda. Please state your name, city, street, and we'll go ahead, let's start with Zoom this time. We'll start with BJS. Please unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please state your name, city, and street.
Yes, Barbara Sapirsky, Woodworth Circle, Dearborn Heights.
Thank you.
This is concerning 11A, the animal ordinance. I am not sure who's responsible for this version, but it appears to be getting worse, not better. The previous suggestions and corrections have not been addressed in this version, and it remains cruel, inhumane, and not scientifically based. On section 697A1, there is indirect feeding mentioned. There's no definition of what that means, and it can be construed as including a garden, fruit trees, grass seed. This needs to be defined, or it needs to be an exception, and this was brought up multiple times when this ordinance was read before. Under A2, I am not aware of any bird feeder that will totally prevent seed from falling to the ground. If you know of one, please share or sell it from your department, and maybe it can make some money for the city. In section 697, under B as in boy, what are the written criteria for the quote-unquote approved feeding? Why is it not defined here to prevent whim, bias, and favoritism when decisions have to be made? And how do you expect to catch a cat or a dog if some food is not involved in the process? Section 4, under effective date, still says first and second reading and emergency basis. Okay, and that was also mentioned multiple times before. If this ordinance was supposed to eliminate the rat problem, it will not, as you have not addressed the human and other factors that sustain the rat population. Just as an aside, Dearborn is installing owl houses in their trees. What is Dearborn Heights doing? we're cutting our trees down. So I suggest again that this ordinance be disapproved and corrections made with the help of the TNR groups as well as citizen suggestions.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Next up is Sam on Zoom. You'll have 2 minutes, please. Go ahead, sir. Or ma'am.
Sorry, yes, I have to get that changed to my actual name.
That's
My
okay.
actual name is Sarah Malik. I live on Outer Drive in Dearborn Heights. And first of all, I want to thank you all for your time. I just want to second everything I want to copy paste everything Barbara just said. We do have an issue. We did tell the city what our issues were, and we're hoping the city works with us to address these concerns so we can properly TNR these cats and do what's proper for these cats. I know ground feeding is the main issue, and ground feeding has to be done properly and effectively so that we can come down to a resolution and a humane resolution for the cats. And I'm hoping the city will give us a chance to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate it. Is there an echo? Good. Okay, gone. All right, I don't see anybody else on Zoom. Do you, Madam Clerk? Okay, excellent. Next up, in the
Hi.
audience.
Sue Kaminsky, Amboy Street, Dearborn Heights. I just want to echo what Mr. Wenzel and Mr. Baydoun said, and Mr. Ahmad regarding the airing of the city council meetings. I don't think there's anybody in this room or part of administration that wants it to make it look like there's any suspicious things going on. So you need to air them all. I mean, there's nothing that can't be shown. And when you leave 1 or 2 or 4 meetings out, it makes the appearance that something big must have happened at that meeting. And I wonder what it was. So I agree. It should be aired.
Okay,
That was
thank you
it.
very much. Appreciate it. Come on up, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Lisa Alawi from Campus Drive, and I'm here on behalf of myself
I'm going to
and
interrupt you for a second. For future purposes, for yourself and others, please don't say your actual address. Just the street name is sufficient.
thank you.
For your protection.
I understand. I'm here on behalf of myself and on behalf of the Dearborn Heights Cats Coalition, here to address the ground feeding ban, specifically Section 1B, the unlawful feeding of feral and stray cats and dogs. And you might be saying, why is Lisa here again? Why is this group here again? Why are they so concerned? Because the proposed ordinance has nothing to do with TNR. TNR is trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release. They're going to say it's all about ground feeding because that's what I've been hearing. But it's wrong because you can't address ground feeding without addressing the community cats. And community cats includes the lost cats, the abandoned cats, the cats who are born outside, who've never had a home, and feral cats. In the first reading of the proposed ordinance, stray and feral cats were included in the ban. That's how the Dearborn Heights Cats Coalition was born, to speak up for our community cats and to find a way to humanely deal with an overpopulation of cats that's contributing to the ground feeding problem. A feeding ban is inhumane and it is cruel. We need to address both issues together in order to come up with short and long-term solutions to both problems. The Dearborn Heights Cats Coalition has been working alongside Animal Control Officer Bunker since last summer. Officer Bunker is open and receptive to our concerns, but the problem is too big to solve without a bigger and more effective TNR program that involves residents and the city working together. So we, the members of the Dearborn Heights Cats Coalition, is requesting to meet with Ordinance Director Disharoon, Officer Bunker, and any other parties involved in the decision-making process. We are confident we can come up with an amicable resolution that will resolve the ground feeding issue while humanely reducing the cat population.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Appreciate it. Come on up.
I do have a handout. I'm going to pass it through while I talk about some of the other stuff first, if
Okay,
that's
so
okay.
hand it
It
to
is
her.
on an agenda item.
Okay, that's fine. So hand it to the clerks, but just for those in the audience, always keep in mind, anything you hand to the clerk automatically goes on the minutes.
Yeah,
If
that's
you're okay
fine.
with that. Okay. So
wanna wait for it
while
to come
you-
through?
you-
I have other things to talk about before you guys need to look at
Okay,
that. So
go ahead.
I'll address the other things first.
Well, go ahead and start there.
Rachel Lapointe, Merrick Street, Dearborn Heights. Regarding the resolution in support of the MENA designation, absolutely 100% support that. I think it's long overdue for the census to count our Arabic and Middle Eastern, what is it, Middle Eastern North American population. Regarding the ground feeding ordinance, echoing what everybody said, reminding you guys, I've brought up the first reading versus second reading emergency approval thing needs to be corrected, and that no bird feeder is squirrel-proof. Regarding the discussion on the videos, the FCC actually can enforce swearing prohibitions on TV, and I will just say I would encourage you all to do a lot of research and maybe talk to some First Amendment lawyers because you're treading a fine line. The handout that I passed out is regarding the Warren Valley contracts that you have on the agenda today. I know they were approved, and I don't know that you can go back on that. I know it's just kind of a formality, I think, at this point, but I had received yesterday a FOIA request for the receipts on our current spending with Warren Valley. So I had done the math. That's what I gave you guys. So it's just the contract amounts and different things. If you want to go over it with me later, privately, we can. What I would like to draw your attention to, though, is the last page in red with the anticipated spending and our contractual obligations. Where we're at now is approximately $540,000 over budget. So that, to me, indicates that you as the council body needs to determine whether or not we have voided the motion that you guys made when you approved it that said that if we spent over $800,000 for the C of O, the contract was void. That's what you guys approved in last August. Based on what I was given in the FOIA, it seems as though we have not hit that threshold yet, but we will. So that is up to you guys to look at the numbers and see what we need to do and how to follow that motion that you all approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, just for clarification, I don't believe off the top of my head, although I don't have the contract directly in front of me, I don't believe it makes it void. I think, to the best of my recollection, it's void the bill, which is a total change in the verbiage. But I don't know for a fact because I don't have it in front of me right now.
The motion was where it was.
Okay. Come on up, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sarah Ismail. My address is Salino Court in Dearborn. I'm actually with Access. So I'm here to discuss a very important issue that not only affects this community, but communities like this across the country. So on January 26th, the federal government actually came down with a new rule stating they were going to revise Statistical Policy Directive 15. This directive is actually extremely important because it defines the race and ethnicity standards for data collection across all federal agencies. So currently, there are two revisions that they're making. They're adding a combined race ethnicity question and then also a Middle Eastern and North African category. Right now, we can't quantify the inequities that our students face in all levels of academia because we have no data on them. Currently, our research and in our healthcare, all of our data is done in aggregate with the white population. When we know that MENA communities disproportionately are affected by cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Also, our MENA business owners, when the pandemic happens, were unable to qualify for minority-specific business loans because they are labeled as white and aggregate with the white category. So right now, this is actually seen as a civil rights issue because historically our communities, in terms of MENA, have been underserved, counted, and severely underrepresented. So currently, I'm asking the Dearborn Heights City Council to please submit a comment on behalf of your MENA residents supporting for a Middle East North African category and submitting it to the Federal Register. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just
Appreciate
want to
it.
add one
Go ahead.
thing on this, and this actually just came up in front of the Wayne County Commission.
Yes.
And one of the commissioners actually voted no and said, what difference does this make? But I'm going to tell you, to me, my niece has a rare disease that's called Mediterranean fever.
Yes.
And if you were to see Mediterranean fever, which it only happens back in people in Middle Eastern countries, you would, you see hundreds and thousands of patients where you're not going to think Middle Eastern, and it was actually my aunt has Mediterranean fever. So we made the recommendation that, hey, can you test and see if it's Mediterranean fever? And that's how we were finding out. But, God willing, my niece is doing a lot better. But had we looked at a group of Middle Easterns, you would see 10% on 100,000 people is a lot versus 10% on, or 1% on 1 million people or 1% on 10,000 people. The number's much bigger when you actually break down the
Absolutely.
numbers.
Since I still have 43 seconds, I'm just going to say that the OMB, the Office of Management Budget, has actually been advocating that local and state governments actually submit these comments to show that we need these categories. Just because right now our MENA populations currently, we're considered, so right now, let me give you an example. The Dearborn School District is the third largest district in the state, It serves 20,000 students, and the majority of which are African-American students. If you look at the data, it's labeled 94% white. Our students need to be acknowledged so that their inequities can also be served, because we don't get the same funding sources as other communities do. So I hope that,
What
the
can
city
we
council.
do on our end?
Honestly, we have a phone to action. Right now, the federal government is giving us till April 27th, so you can submit individual comment about this, supporting this, and then you can also advocate with your local and state governments as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for access, for advocating for this.
And it's-
Council Chair.
yeah, The Greeks call it Cooley's,
talking to the
Cooley's
microphone.
anemia,
Council Chair?
What was that?
Mobedu. The Greek word for sickle cell anemia is Cooley's anemia. That's directed towards Councilman
Okay.
Bedu.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Bob, thank you, Bob.
Bob's always good for the history. Councilman
Chair?
Tom Wenzel.
History.
Can you email us some information that we could follow up on this, Thank
And you
you.
can get all of our emails online at the city website.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else here on agenda items?
You got Bill Disham as well.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Bill Dishroom, right? Yeah. Anybody else in the audience? I'm sorry? No, we'll allow them. Yeah, right. Okay, Director Dishroom, go ahead, sir.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, Council Chair. I just wanted to speak briefly about the ground feeding ordinance. I sent out an email earlier today to all the council members. I assume that everybody got it.
Correct.
This is about, I think, as flexible as the city can be with regard to the ground feeding ordinance. Again, I'll reiterate that the intent was never to target the cats. It is part of the conversation, but we are willing to work with the group at some level. As you can see by the change in the language of the ordinance, the change, I'm sure everybody, council read that and is aware of that. Again, I don't have any disdain for cats. We're working with Michigan Humane to do our own form of TNR. There were statistics in the email that I sent earlier. We're gonna start ramping that back up. Actually, we had about 45 already so far this year that we've done. We're gonna start putting out the traps to help with that issue here very soon, weather permitting. So yeah, I just wanted to touch base on that. So I hope that we can get this through. And like I said, we're willing to work with the group. And to my knowledge, we haven't had any problems with any of the TNR people that were active in the city. I think active right now, but we're gonna do the best we can. We wanna help the animals, but we wanna do it lawfully, the way we do it. And we need to address the other issues that are caused by the ground feeding, which includes rats. So that's one of the biggest concerns. So I hope you go through and pass this, let this pass through, and so we can move on and try to move forward. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Director, much appreciated. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to comment on agenda items? All right, I see one more person, I presume, in the audience? Yes. Our Comptroller?
Hello, Cindy King, Comptroller, Commerce Township. I just wanted to reiterate one small thing on the claims. I believe the total was inaccurate for the claims. The total on your page, it may have been 4 million on there when it should have been 3.7. There were a couple.
Which page, I'm sorry?
It's just the total of the claims.
Okay.
I believe there were some invoices that were removed because they were duplicates, and then the total didn't actually accrue itself to the bottom. So it's just a minor.
Is this on the page that has all of them together?
Yes.
Okay.
So the
So
total.
do you know what the specific number would be?
So this is the right total number. Okay. Okay, so the right total for the claims is $1,307,382.41.
$1,307,000
$382.41.
for the total claims for the month.
Total claims.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that for the controller?
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
what made the difference?
Apparently, there were a couple invoices that were duplicated on this form, so he had removed them. Unfortunately, when you go to like the totals on the page where it says 1.4, it calculated including those duplicate invoices. So we removed them, but the calculations, the formula itself didn't pick that up.
Okay. So for council members, just for reference purposes, what the Controller King is referencing is on the last page. I know nobody can see it here, but on the last page, way at the top, you see 1.470, 1,470,876.74. The correct number on that would be 1,307,382.42. But the invoices that were in there that are inaccurate, is there a way, if you don't mind, Controller, either for the next council meeting or maybe put it on the website and email all of us, which ones are the ones that are changed, if you don't mind?
There's nothing that's changed on this list.
So the invoices are all correct?
The invoices are
The addition
correct.
is just wrong?
It's just the total that was
Okay.
wrong.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for the controller? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much, appreciate it.
Council Chair, will you do a motion? Would there be a motion to amend?
Yeah, make a motion to amend.
We'll amend, yeah, oh, I see what you're saying on that, but we're gonna get to fund transfers next, so we'll go ahead and make that amendment. Thank you. Good catch. All right, any other comments from the audience or on Zoom? Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Next up is fund transfers and current claims, and whoever makes this particular motion, please include in there the change that the controller just made.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the current claims and ACH wire transfers 6/1 through 6/21 with the change of the total for the claims from $1,470,876.74 to the corrected number of $1,307,382.14 as submitted.
Support. Motion made by Councilman Muscat and supported by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9G, and just for clarification for those members in the audience, this item 9G is considered out of order technically, but we have to add it in there. Okay, go ahead.
Council Chair,
Councilman Ahmad?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the 2022-2023 CDBG CV substantial amendment table. In addition, authorize the controller to create a new Berwyn Senior Center window replacement project, a general ledger account 103-960-920-002, according to the 2022-2023 CDBG CV substantial amendment table, and the CEDD director to complete the project accordingly in compliance with all related rules and regulations as outlined in 9-G.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and supported by Councilman Baydoun. Any discussion on that? Just for clarification, when I say it is out of order, I'm not saying we're going, this, based on the original agenda that was submitted, this was an item, as I mentioned earlier, that was added on after the weekend, but that was necessary, so I approved it to be added on, and that's why, by technicality, it is considered out of order. So just to clarify that. Okay. Any other discussion items on that? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 7A, consideration of bids.
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council award the bid for the Berwyn Senior Center window replacement project to Environmental Glass Incorporated as the lowest qualified bidder in the amount of $541,015, plus up to $58,985 in charges, change orders as needed, for a total cost not to exceed $600,000, according to the bid response package, and authorize the Comptroller's Office to return all bid bonds to the unsuccessful bidders. In addition, authorize the mayor and comptroller or clerk to sign the necessary warrants and the treasurer to issue payments from the unrestricted general fund pool bank account, which will be fully reimbursed by the U.S. Treasury accordingly. Furthermore, Authorize the mayor and clerk to sign a contract on behalf of the city pending any necessary legal adjustments by corporation counsel that may be required according to related laws and regulations as outlined in 7A.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Is there any discussion on that?
Council Chair?
Council Chair?
Yes, Councilwoman?
I'd just like everyone to know that the reason for the large amount of windows is because there's been very few that have been changed since the building was built. So there is a definite need. And that this is not coming out of the general fund. This is coming from grant money. So it's very important that we take that into consideration. And not to overlook the Eaton Center, who will be getting some items also. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman?
And yeah,
Councilman.
both our Berwyn Senior Citizen Center and our Eaton Center are former grade schools.
Thank you, Councilman.
Council Chair.
I did want to make just a quick comment. First of all, I'd like to commend our director, Hassan Jamal. This gentleman has brought in a lot of money into the city through different grants. So you're talking about here, I mean, this is not chump change. I mean, 541,000 that's been brought in. So I thank him for all his efforts and commend him for all his good work. I did have a question for Director Jamal. We have on there change orders of 58,985. Why are we, at least what appears to be, pre-agreeing on that amount versus waiting until there potentially could be a change order and then at that point approving it or denying it?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, afternoon. Thank you first for taking this in consideration. You are great, the chair and the rest of you, by adjusting to the need and to the emergency sometime, which is important in municipal processes. The reason is because I really don't have time. If there is a need, and I can see that maybe a need for more vents to the building, and that would be determined maybe first week or second week when we see if they have enough vents. So we agreed on the vent for the bid, and those are available immediately. Now, if there is more available, then we need to put more in each room in case that there are no air condition or something happen, no electricity for now or for the future to be able to ventilate the large building and the large rooms in the buildings. And I don't have time because those money must be drawn down by June 25 of 2023.
But is there 58,985 available to you through this grant and approved already through this grant?
Yes.
Or is this something you get from general fund?
Yes, if you look at the table you just approved, you'll see that there will be an allocation total $600,000 for that particular project, which is, I didn't exceed, that's why I limited your pre-approval for this, which is usual, which is normal in case of, allocation needed when there's no time, to come back. If I wanna go through the process, which I like always to do, is come back for the change order, that's gonna take me all the way to approve it to June, maybe first meeting in June, and that's gonna really go beyond our ability to draw down the money by June 25th.
Okay, so just to clarify, just go ahead.
No, thank you, because we discussed that together, and
Correct.
I thank you for this one up, because I was gonna bring it up, because that's usual and unusual at the same time. It's the council trust, it's the council, understanding that sometime spending the money is better than losing the money, or not being able to do it and have to go out for bid again.
Sure.
So I recommend that you trust me, trust the administration, the mayor. Remember, this is gonna be vetted out by the PE engineer. This is already, if we go with the vent, it's already being priced in the bid. So we're not going above what's being approved in the bid. And this is gonna be signed by the mayor, the controller, and the treasurer as a usual, warrant.
So the reason I was asking the question, I don't need clarification, but I'm just stating why I was asking, because it is not common, at least I've never seen it, where we had pre-approved a change order that had not, happened. So, to me, it seemed like, it just doesn't make sense why we'd approve something ahead of time. But I'm seeing your point, and I do understand your,
To clarify this, Chair, Honorable Chair Abdallah, you are not approving the change order. You are approving me to issue and approve a change order with the approval of the mayor, the controller.
You're giving them full autonomy.
no, I realize that. But it's not, but usually change orders come after the fact, so that's what, but you're doing it because you have the grant available, and thank you for clarifying. But I want to make a little statement clarifying the statement you made, because I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. So when Director Hassan Jamal said 2 or 3 times, I don't have time, I just want to clarify. It's not that he doesn't have time because he doesn't spend time, or he doesn't care to, or doesn't want to. It's because of the deadline. So that's why he's saying he doesn't have time, not as in, because quite honestly, initially I thought, what do you mean you don't have time? It's not because he doesn't want to, it's because there's a deadline. So that's why he's saying he doesn't have time. Councilman Tom Wenzel, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Council Chair.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Director. My hat goes off to you too, for, your efforts for getting grants for the city. My question is, this window replacement, is it the entire Berwyn's, facility, or is it just the spaces occupied by the senior center?
We did in the past 2 sections, and the rest are like 5 sections left, to my understanding, were not done. So the area with the offices on the north side, middle of the center were done already. The offices where CEDD occupied, that section were done. The rest were not done. And we were lucky that we were able to secure that COVID money to do this project at the last minute. We were gonna use the CDBG normal money, normal funding, to do the windows. It happens that we already have the bids ready, everything ready, and with the effort of my staff and our consultant, Wade Trim, we were able to secure approval from HUD to actually use the COVID money, which will be expiring in 2023, June 25th. We were able to do it. Now, last minute, they already sent us just few days ago that they extended some of the money we can use, which is the part 3, which is 2020, which is a very small portion of it. We are lucky, really. We are on time. We were able to spend the money. We are not going to get any compliance, finding. And no blame nobody. It was the COVID time. It was the city didn't open their door, so we had that much money left.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you so much.
Director,
one thing, Council Chair, one thing no one mentioned is the energy savings these windows will provide this facility.
Yes, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Councilman Constant, go ahead.
Economic Development Director Hassan Jamal. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilwoman Nancy Breyer. Is there any other additional discussion on that? Hearing none, let's go ahead and take this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Congratulations. Next up on our agenda is, it's an item directly tied to this, and that's why I said we added this. So this is item 9A, CEDD, Director Jamal, disposal, oh, I'm sorry, it's not directly tied to this. Disposal of items at the CEDD office.
Council Chair.
Let's give it to Councilwoman. Councilwoman, go ahead.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the FY 2022-2023 CEDD office material disposal. The items listed will be donated to the Senior Services Garage Sale Program, normally held in August, I believe, as outlined in 9A. And did you want me to read any of the items?
No, you could just say as submitted. You could just say as submitted.
All right,
'cause there's a
as
bunch of them.
attached, and we have quite a few, and it's a good thing.
Okay, Motion made by Councilwoman Breyer, supported or seconded by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on our agenda, City Engineer Ali Dib, execution of contracts for approved project at the Warren Valley Golf Course.
Council Chair,
Councilman Baydun.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council authorize the mayor clerk to sign the contract for the project at the Warren Valley Golf Course that were previously approved by the City Council at the March 28th, 2023 City Council regular meeting. The contract are the following projects. 1, the Warren Valley Golf Course cart path repair and extension. 2, the Warren Valley Golf Course equipment storage, building construction. And 3, Warren Valley Golf Course outdoor restroom repairs.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baydun and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that?
Just like Council Chair, like the recommendation said, I believe this was missing a part, and so this just needed to approve so that they can go ahead and send the warrants and issue the checks.
Yeah, this was something that was discussed at previous meetings. Now this is just approving the final contracts. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
were we given the other bids, and, are these the lowest bids, or are these the best, companies to do the job, and maybe not the lowest bid? For all three of these items?
Thank you, Councilman. So all three bids were, all
Can you
three
make sure the mic is
projects
on?
were, pardon me?
Is the mic on?
Yes.
You know, for whatever
See the
reason,
green
that
light,
mic
but
is
it's
not.
The light is
Yeah,
on.
if you could do me a favor, it's close as you can to the mic, but go ahead.
Okay, so these projects were, again, they're publicly, all three of them were publicly bid, and all three were the lowest bidders, and some were by far the lower bidders. Like the bathrooms at 19.9, the next bidder was like 48. So there were, yes, and they're doing a good job, by the way. They're actually in construction. The only oversight was not including language in the resolution to authorize signing the contract, and not the insurance, the bonding agencies for the contractors required to have a signed contract before they bond the projects, for performance and things. So that's what we're here for. Just asking to authorize the mayor and the city clerk to sign a contract so we can get bonding companies to bond it.
Okay.
No, the one, number one, the golf cart paths, repair and extension. Are they doing any repair, or are they all gonna be brand new? Is that for
No.
all 36 holes, or?
18, it's for the 18.
holes?
And so that's the worst part of the golf course. And we were missing a lot of sections. We're missing a lot. So the repairs are being conducted full depth, not just a patch. And so if it's 5 feet wide, 6 feet wide, cut a section and repair it. And then the extension, and both underway. And we also safely connected them to the pickup area at the cart barn, or what we call a cart barn. So when you pick up your cart, you can safely ride the cart down to the play area as opposed to jumping into the river. I mean,
It was four-wheeling before. Now you'll be able to just.
there
ride a
were
car.
some drops that I wouldn't recommend having any person drive it. I drove it, but it's not safe.
Some were
It's-
underwater.
And some other areas on the lower part, as you start, erosion has taken part of the path into the river. So there was no railing, and it was dangerous. I mean, you don't want to drive there.
Council Chair.
Brand new carts, we just bought new carts, right? So you hate to see a cart in the water.
Well, we didn't buy new carts.
We didn't?
I believe we're leasing them.
Right, still,
Yeah,
they're brand
yeah.
new carts, so you still don't want them in the
Yeah,
river, right?
Yeah. I'm all in favor, I've always been in favor of this golf course. It's always been something I really liked, the Donald Ross design. Unfortunately, it was put into disrepair over the last year, circumstances out of my control, causing the city to spend millions of dollars to get it back running again. Even though I do need these, I can't justify keep spending money on the golf course. We've spent enough already, so that's why I'm gonna vote no on that.
Council Chair?
Okay. I would, well, go ahead, Councilman.
It's been in disrepair for 30-plus years, not the last year. Anybody that knows anything about this golf course knows it's been in disrepair for well over 30 years, if not more. So let's not just say it's been 1 year, because the things that I witnessed with my own 2 eyes took many, many, many years to get in disrepair.
Right.
So let's not just say 1 year.
Thank you. And I would like to say, Councilman, as, you know, maybe, you know, obviously as a Realtor myself, you know, anytime you purchase any type of property that needs potential work or anything like that, as I've heard from 3 billion people that have purchased properties over the years, properties that needed fix-ups.
You sold a lot
No,
of
not that many, but the point I'm making is the moment you purchase if you want to call it a flip property, and you start with the intentions of going into it with $50,000, let's say hypothetically, and next thing you know, you're at 72 or 85. I mean, this is unfortunately, that's the animal that you have in front of you. So anytime you purchase a property that needs work, you start with the things that you see, and then things start to come up, unfortunately. But all of our goals is to get this golf course open, and I did see on Facebook that Jason Purcell, the golf park director, has basically officially made an announcement that this Saturday you can start golfing on a mini level right now. It's not all completely at the level he wants it to be yet, but it's a soft opening, if you want to call it, this Saturday. So I commend all you guys for that.
Has been a lot of activity since the last time we were here in March. A lot of activities. When you approve these contracts, contractors were next day on site, and there have been we have been pushing them. So every bit of that work, on the golf side, it's been extremely busy.
Right.
Now the weather may slow us down a little bit, but we're taking advantage of the warm temperature. It is extremely busy, and there has been a lot of changes made. So the first thing, I think the day after the approval of that contract, the area that was the erosion area into the river was already fixed. I mean, we're moving the path, so it isn't just, so we're relocating I don't know why that cart path was put so close, I mean, right on the edge of the water. So in that section, we're moving that out, so we did it, you know, we surveyed it, moved it out, so there is no chance of a player end up, you know, swimming.
And I did go through the building itself, the main building, and I knew Mr. Issa was gonna do a lot of work, but geez, I mean, he's ripped the whole thing apart, and I really anticipate this is gonna be a
Council
very,
Chair,
very nice
the
building.
comments you made about the disrepair, I know Mr. Muscat knows the things behind the scene that surprised me. Maybe we should have taken a more active role in management of this facility, but we had things behind the scene, you know, the pumps, the irrigation system, the things that you don't see as a player. These things were in extreme major disrepair as far as
Right.
we're
But
concerned.
we're gonna have a nice gem there soon.
We're doing it the right
Yes.
way.
Thank
Council
you.
Chair?
Councilman, go ahead.
Yeah, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Okay. I just want to let it be known that I have no objection or any beef with any of the gentlemen or ladies involved with the golf course or the bank facility. My main objection is the money we're putting into it. And people stated that this golf course was in such bad shape for years. And since the city owned this golf course, the city did not put one penny into this golf course until this past year. So don't blame previous people that ran it for not keeping it up when we gave them nothing, and now the new people were giving them millions. So let's be fair about that.
Council Chair.
I'm in favor of the golf course getting prepared. And the people that are doing it are great people. I know both of them, you know, especially Mr. Issa and Jason. Guys really passionate about golf courses. My objection is just to the amount of money we're spending on a golf course that is used by less than 1% of our residents.
Okay.
Just to clarify to the residents, since, you know, there's some misinformation. So the previous concessionaire owes us a lot of money, and there was a breach of contract. So that, obviously, we're looking at a potential lawsuit, so I don't want to discuss the previous concessionaire, but they are breach of contract, and there's a lot of money that is owed to the city from the previous concessionaire for maintaining the golf course from the previous contract.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Council Chair.
Any other, go ahead, Council.
Thank you, Council Chair. As much as I hate to spend more money, but this is something that we have to do to open a golf course. I've never been a golfer myself, but I'm looking forward to start golfing in that golf course.
Me too. I'll take you on. Never golfed myself either.
And I have full trust in our engineer.
You guys
He's
aren't
doing a great
allowed, you
job.
gotta rip up all the grass.
We'll have good bloopers video that can be sold.
I mean, we signed up for something, Council Chair, and we have to finish this project, and we are gonna finish it. Yeah, appreciate it.
And like I said, I mean, it's opening up Saturday. I mean, that's great news for our city. Any other discussion items from the council members? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Dave Abdallah.
Yes.
Hassan Ahmad.
Yes.
Mo Baidoon.
Yes.
Nancy Breyer.
Yes.
Robert Constant.
Yes.
Ray Muscat.
Yes.
Tom Wenzel.
No.
Motion carries 6-1.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Much appreciated. Next item on the agenda is item 9C, Controller King.
Council Chair.
ACH policy.
Council Chair.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the ACH policy allowing the Finance Treasurer's Department to streamline vendor payments for manual check writing to an ACH payment through a bank transaction as outlined in 9-C.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Ahmad and seconded by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9D, Corporation Council for Rinha.
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the fine increases for the attached ordinances, with each fine being increased by $50 as outlined in 9D.
Support.
Motion made by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilman Constant. Is there any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
this has been long overdue that we do something like this, because there's people out there who, now the summertime's coming, they don't cut their grass, they don't keep up their property, they let the city cut it once a year and they're done, so, then we start back all over again. And as far as I'm concerned, we should do this once a year and look at this stuff once a year, see how much, it's happening.
And I attached the current schedule.
Correct.
It doesn't-
I-
didn't
I
make this
seen that.
document, but make sure it's attached so you can
Yes.
see the changes.
Yes, so the tickets, for ordinance tickets are being raised by $50 apiece, pretty much across the board. And our ordinance department and our administration is committed to start enforcing a lot of these ordinances. So for those residents that are concerned about, oh my God, why are they charging this much? If you follow the ordinances, follow the laws, keep up your properties, nobody's coming after you. This is just to make sure that people comply with the law and we keep our city beautiful.
Council Chair?
Councilman?
Yeah, just to echo what you said, Council Chair, it's, our inflation was at recently 8%. So I want to thank our city attorney, Roger Farina, for the work he did on this.
Yes, thank you. Okay, any other discussion on this? Hearing none, did somebody say?
That's
No, I
at the end.
apologize, that's at the end during public comments, sir, sorry, or if it's on agenda items. Right, I realize it, but that's at the beginning during agenda items, so I apologize, sir. Sorry about that. So all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 9E, Corporation Council for Rinha, dismissal of ordinance violations.
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve to dismiss without prejudice the attached ordinance violations in default where business and owners could not be located or identified. In addition, authorize the addition of the businesses that are in default to have been identified onto the tax rolls for the city as outlined in 9.
Seconded.
Support. Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Is there any discussion on that? Just to clarify, I spoke with Corporation Council and I spoke with our court director. These are coming from the court system, from our court system. These are not completely dismissed. All these are being is they're coming over to our administration side. And if any one of these individuals or businesses applies for a license again, they would still owe the violations. So they're not completely gone. This is just I guess one way to put it is it's an accounting move. So nobody's getting away with anything. That's why I can put it. but they're not, but if somebody applies for a license again that's on here, they would still owe that particular violation. Correct. Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. So let's go ahead, any other discussions on this? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Dave Abdallah,
Yes.
Hassan Ahmad,
Yes.
Mo Baidoon,
Yes.
Nancy Breyer,
No.
Robert Constant,
Yes.
Ray Muscat,
Yes.
Tom Wenzel.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Motion carried. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Next item on the agenda is item 9F, DPW Director Conrad, HydroCorp Cross Connection Control Service Agreement Extension.
Council Chair.
Councilman?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council approve the HydroCorp Cross Connection Control Service Agreement extension for an additional 2 years for the total monthly cost of $3,721.50 as outlined in 9F per clarification from Director Conrad. And I don't know what that means, but we had a sticky on it.
It was,
Oh, okay.
on the cover sheet, it was not.
Second, Council Chair.
Okay. So motion made by Councilman Baidoon and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. So I see here, now unless I'm missing something, I see a different amount. but it-
Correct.
Right here. So this one says.
No, I understand, The original amount was 2,976 in our,
Updated to 3,700.
okay, I didn't get the sticky note. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the sticky note was missing from
Well,
my.
you're the council chair. We
Right,
thought-
okay, it's okay, it's okay.
You're gonna over-communicate
No,
a
it's
little.
okay. So Director Conrad, yeah, Councilman Muscat took it.
You sold 3
So I-
billion
No,
properties.
I had on there, is the price the same, but nobody gave me the sticky note. Councilman Muscat.
That
Muscat
come
took it.
from Councilman Constant.
So Councilman Muscat has stolen it. Police chief, can we have this investigated, please? Okay, so, motion made by, Councilman Baidoon, correct?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay, and then seconded by Councilman Ahmad. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Council
Any
Chair,
I'm sorry.
did you discussion?
Would you like, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, is this the cleaning of the sewer lines or the sanitary waste lines, or what are they? What is this?
Okay, Director, you're gonna have to be from here if you don't mind.
Robert Conrad, Director DPW. So we're required by Eagle to test our cross connections, which it prevents a business that has water service from us from water backflowing from their business into our water system. So it keeps our drinking water clean and safe. So basically, there's, a air gap or a pop-up valve. I guess for all businesses, I guess to put it in a residential perspective, if you have an underground sprinkling system at your house, on the outside of your house, there's a pop-up valve that supplies water to your valves. That is a cross connection, similar to what the businesses have. So that's what this business does, is they test all of our cross connection, or they go out and test the required number for us to be tested each year by Eagle, and then they submit all the reports to Eagle. They keep us in compliance with Eagle, and according to my water operator, S1, he recommends we stay with them, and that, we've had good relationship and good service from them. I can only go back as far as 2016 and find, documentation, and we've had no issues with our water service contract with Eagle since we've been with them.
Okay, now HydroCorps, that's the company, are they the ones actually doing the work, or do
Yes.
they sub it out, or they do it
No,
themselves?
they do all the work.
They do it themselves? Do they physically go out and check these valves and
Yes.
backflow?
Well, so each business owner is required to have a licensed plumber go in and test this themselves and then submit the findings to HydroCorp for us. They do some testing for us, but primarily the business owner has to provide these tests. And basically, they're a documenting company for us to make sure that we stay in compliance with Eagle. The business owners do most of the testing of these cross connections, and they do, I believe, 700 a year.
Who enforces this?
They do.
They do?
They do all the enforcement for us.
So every business is tested every year?
It's 700 a year, not every. So I think they do like every other year. The businesses are selected.
And they're leaving it up to the business owners to do their own tests?
The business owners are required to do their own tests and report back.
With a licensed plumber.
With a licensed plumber.
Licensed plumber.
Right.
All right, thank you.
HydroCorp, if I'm not mistaken, because I recall from probably about 8 years back in the council, we also approved them. They also do some additional testing of water, as I recall, during the Paletco days. 'Cause we use them for other services, if I'm not mistaken. I remember the name HydroCorp.
Yeah, I think they could. I mean, they do water meter installations and repairs. I mean, yeah, they have a big influence in this area, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Florida. I mean, they're a well-established company.
Right, thank you.
Council Chair, so that, Director, that monthly cost, was that a typo or was that increase?
Yes, it was. I apologize.
Thank you. So it didn't increase on us, huh? That's good. That's a good thing. First time, huh?
Councilwoman, go ahead.
All right, I spoke with Mr. Conrad earlier today, and he assured me that this is one of the better companies. We're currently using them. They've been recommended by Hennessy, and they are guaranteeing this rate for 2 years.
Okay, good, thank you.
Council Chair, just one quick question. Do they have to pull a permit to do these tests?
I don't believe
You don't
so.
believe so? Okay.
Okay, any other discussion items on this? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is item 11A, Mayor Bazey, first reading of proposed
Council Chair.
ordinance H 23-02. Councilman
Chair, we were going to
Wenzel?
suspend regular,
Okay, want to go ahead and make that motion? Go ahead.
I'm not the exact terminology, but I'd like to suspend normal business procedure at this time to add a 9H.
Okay, so a motion suspend the rules and add item 9H by Councilman Tom Wenzel. Any discussion on that?
Support.
Right, supported by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that?
Would that mean, you said 9?
No,
H.
adding his.
He's adding his,
Nine.
the motion in regards to the YouTube videos.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be G?
G was Hassan Jamal's.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so any discussion on this?
Council Chair,
Councilman?
just to, add more to this,
Well, Councilman, for right now, let's vote on suspending the rules,
Okay,
and then
okay.
we'll allow you to make your motion. So any discussion on specifically suspending the rules only? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Roll call.
Madam Clerk, please.
Dave Abdallah?
Hold on.
I meant to say yes.
Oh, so everybody's good?
Okay, so let's start again. Oh, so I'm gonna ask you to vote again. All in favor of suspending the motions, please state aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motions, I'm sorry, the rules will be suspended. So now you can go ahead and make the motion, the new motion, Councilman Wenzel.
okay, I want to make a motion that the city of Dearborn Heights air all city council meetings in a timely manner. I guess we could say within 5 days or something from a meeting. Broadcast on the Dearborn Heights Public Access Channel, which I believe is the channel that all the meetings are broadcast on. And show the meetings that have not been shown in the last 12 months. I believe that there are several of them on there, but I can get the exact dates of those meetings, but, I mean, they know, the people in the booth there, they know which ones they are, because they were asked not to air them. But, unless anybody else has anything to add to that.
To add them to YouTube?
Okay, the only thing I would add to that in terms of a discussion, I don't know, I know I deal with it sometimes, I don't know if they can always be necessarily aired within 5.
Got to second it before we
Okay, but just, I know, but I just want to clarify on this motion, just one quick
Yeah,
second.
okay, because
Because it may or may not be able to be done within 5 days always, so I just want to make sure, I'd probably add a couple days just to be on the safe side.
7 days?
Call it 7 business days.
Well, 7 business days, whose business? The cities, that's like a month.
That's the weekend.
All right, so Councilman, do you want to just make that motion?
Yeah, would you want me to change it?
I would do 7 days.
Oh, yeah, I would
Just 7
amend my motion to make it 7 calendar days from the time of that particular meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Wenzel, seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman, go ahead.
My problem with that is to go back in the previous meetings, there's going to be a tremendous amount of editing for our director, Angela. You're going to work her to the bones, and I think personally, this would be great going forward and not taking everything back and putting a lot. It's going to be a lot on her to do this, and it may take more than 7 days to go through all of those videos and edit out, the embarrassing antics of a few people. And it was just, it just made the city look horrible by a few people. And it's not a reflection on everyone who lives in the city. So I would say to going forward, and that gives her an opportunity to edit this meeting or any upcoming meeting in a proper, normal way where she doesn't have to hurry. That's my only
Council Chair?
objection to the whole thing.
Okay, Councilman?
I don't see any reason why you'd have to edit anything out. There was, it was made public at the time, it was on Zoom at the time. It was on Facebook Live at the time. So it's just that the people that weren't on Zoom or weren't attending the meeting, for them to see what happens at council meetings. If it's embarrassing, that's reality. That's being transparent. We're not trying to hide anything.
Well, you can have your children listen to those words.
Right. I think there's a
We all
confusion
set?
between
Yes.
embarrassing and
so,
things that would be
Offensive.
violative of the Open Meetings Act and violative of the sense of decency. Swear words, things like that, always has to be subject to our review.
Edited out by law.
Okay, Councilwoman, go ahead.
Yes, my objection is that, yes, some of those meetings were extremely, they were terrifying, the people up here, the people out there, there was swearing, there were things that were not necessary to be in a public place. And I believe we get fined if some of those things happen on the air, so I'm totally against that.
Okay, Councilman?
Thank you, Council Chair, and briefly, so, yeah, to do this motion properly, we would have to state, wouldn't we, our city attorney, the meetings that Councilman Wenzel is speaking about, because it's just not evident at all on its face or anywhere else what he's talking about.
Right, if you're asking for a study session on it, to look at it.
I'm willing,
Wait, go through the council chair,
Council
please.
Chair,
So-
but-
I know, but let him finish. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're willing to do a study session and look at these and review it, as Councilwoman Breyer said, there's a very offensive and information on those videos. That's why they were stopped. Not trying to curtail First Amendment rights or anything of that nature, but keeping in mind the balance. I think maybe a study session to look at those videos might be going for the past, but going forward, you may want to approach it going forward that we follow all the rules, monitor and check, and keep with OMA regulations in mind.
Okay, Councilman?
well, to piggyback on that, I'm willing to vote on this, yes, right now, with just the meetings going forward, with nothing going back. But again, because of the undue time that our person that's going to edit this is going to take time to do this.
Council Chair.
Personally, that's how I feel. And then going forward, there'll be nothing there.
Okay, Councilman?
And I can see where Council Pro Tem Muscat's coming with, and I can also see Councilman Wenzel, and maybe Angela already edited them. And these videos just need to be uploaded. But I also think that the time constraint is 7 days is a little, 7 calendar days is a little short, especially with the ones amount that you want to be added on. So maybe we can adjust that, Councilman, to 10 calendar days at minimum. I mean, we're not saying each one's going to take 10 calendar days to be added on, but at least give them the max of 10 days. We don't know what the circumstances could be.
Okay.
We don't want to put the director in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I just want them aired definitely before the next council meeting in the 2 weeks. And let's give our video people credit, you know, that instead of saying it's gonna be taxing on them, I'm sure they're qualified enough to go through and edit out anything, but I can't see you editing out anything. There's no one up here or out there that was attacked more than me. False things said about me. I'm not hiding that, because you know what? I have nothing to hide. So these meetings, most of them were things said about me, and I say air them. I want people to see what was said about me.
Okay. One option, I'm just thinking out loud here, is maybe, Councilman, maybe to amend your motion, because I do know that right now, at this particular point, without getting into the details, as I spoke with the clerk earlier today before we started this meeting, at this point, with our video group, we are short-staffed, without getting into the details. So with that being the case, I'm just thinking out loud here, maybe, Councilman, you could amend your motion to be previous meetings within 14 days of today, and then future meetings within 7 days.
How about if I come up with the meetings that haven't been broadcast, the dates? You know,
Well, I understand, but I'm
Yeah.
saying to be aired by, that's why I'm throwing the 14 days out there, because they are short-staffed, as I've been told by the clerk. I don't know if they can have it all done within 7 days. I have no idea.
They normally put them out pretty quick.
Well, if they
You know?
put them out unedited, then yes, they can. But keep in mind, there's FCC rules that we have to follow. And because we have to follow FCC rules, that supersedes any type of motion or resolution or even charter law that we have in our city, because that's over and above us, obviously.
I don't think, I don't think any FCC rules were broken in these meetings that were not broadcast that I can remember.
Well, swear words would potentially be. I'm not an attorney, I'm just throwing it out there.
We have an attorney.
Council Chair?
Yes, Councilman.
It seems that there's two parts of this motion, a part going forward, a part for previous
And
meetings.
that's why I'm saying give 14
So it
days.
seems like, I don't know, maybe we can have the first one going forward within, just before the following council meeting. And the previous one, I don't know if you want to give it some time.
Well, the reason for this motion is there were meetings that were held that were not put on public access. That's the main reason I'm doing this, not because of what's going to happen in the future. I'm doing this because there were meetings deliberately withheld from the public for certain reasons that the public needs to see.
Okay.
It's the only
What
one.
happened once could happen again.
Okay. Councilman Constant.
Yeah, and I know Tom Wenzel. He also lives in the same neighborhood and grew up the same as me. I think what I just heard our city attorney, Roger, say is it may actually be the reason for the delay in the broadcast of the meetings, not in a particular order that the meetings occurred. In other words, as the city attorney pointed out, maybe a meeting, there's no swear words said at all. Another meeting, there's 6 swear words. So that second meeting takes additional time to hit the air, to hit the public access.
Okay, thank you. Any other, Councilman?
One more.
One last time.
And to air the past ones, I believe there was 3 or 4 of them. And now you want to put them on, which is going to be kind of hard logistically to put them on, because usually the new council meetings are aired for 2 weeks. Now you've got to fit that schedule in there. But again, let's make things clear. This is an open meeting, and there's no Open Meetings Act law that says you must broadcast them. Okay, that's, I didn't make that up. Now, everybody's welcome to come here and see this. Everybody's probably already seen them on YouTube. People have discussed them on social media, have posted them on social media. So the ones past, and I understand your point, but the fact of the matter is, if we do this from going forward, I'm willing to approve it right now.
Okay, so any other, we gotta wrap this up.
Yeah,
Any other quick
Council Chair,
discussion?
I don't know where YouTube gets their footage from.
Us.
So that's another, I mean, it's not on YouTube. We're denying YouTube access to this too. I mean, there's just.
We're not denying YouTube. YouTube's already done it.
No, these meetings though. No.
All I know is people have sent them to me.
Okay, so let's go ahead and just for clarification, because we've gone back and forth, I just want to make sure this motion is correct. Councilman, you want to just repeat your motion? I'm going back and forth. I just want to make sure they vote on the proper one.
Did you guys write it down? Can you read it back?
Can you read it back, and then Councilman Wenzel, you approve if that's what you intend?
To air all city council meetings within 7 calendar days on the WDHT and show all unaired meetings from the last 12 months.
Okay, but.
And amend that to 10 calendar
Unaired
days.
meetings within, you want to amend that within how long from today?
12 months. There's
No,
only.
last 12 months. I know, but within how long from today that you would like them to have to be aired? Because they still have to be looked at
10 days.
within 10 days from today's
10
date.
calendar days.
And not to put anybody on the spot, because I do recognize that, because we're short-staffed, the person right now in the video room is not the person that can make that decision. So you, Madam Clerk, you're probably a little bit most familiar with this at this point. Can they have it done, do you think, within 10 days? Is that a possibility?
I'm not sure.
What are you comfortable with?
I'm not sure. I don't do anything with the WDHT.
I haven't seen any that aired more than 14 days, more than 2 weeks. There's never been something
Okay,
that
I
hasn't
know,
aired.
but this is, but they're still having to do the ones that they gotta do like today, et cetera, and go back.
I don't think he understands what you're asking him. The question that the council chair is asking you is, can you give them the ones that are missing? Let's just say there's a 12 of them or a dozen of them. Can you give them 30 days
Yeah.
to actually launch for those 30 that, or the 10 that are missing?
30 days? I
Okay.
guess within 30 days.
Within 30 days.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Okay.
that's
fair.
So,
And
you
that's-
want,
is
Madam
that-
Clerk, you wanna read that from beginning to end, please?
Is this for you two?
So motion made by Councilman Tom Wenzel, being repeated right now by the Madam Clerk, so we're clear on it.
Ready?
Yes.
Air all city council meetings within 7 calendar days.
10.
Oh,
Change
No,
it to
no,
10.
7, correct.
7, this is the going forward.
Yeah.
On the WDHT and YouTube channels, and show all unaired meetings from the last 12 months within 30 calendar days from the motion approval.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So motion made by Councilman Tom Wenzel, seconded by
Second.
Councilman
Hassan,
Ahmad.
Yes.
All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Okay, Dave Abdallah,
Yes.
Hassan Ahmad,
Yes.
Mo Baidoon,
Yes.
Nancy Breyer,
No.
Robert Constant,
Yes.
Ray Muscat.
Yes.
And Tom Wenzel.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Okay, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is item 11A, Mayor Bazey, first reading of proposed ordinance H 23-02.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council move that the proposed ordinance number H 23-01, an ordinance of the City of Dearborn Heights providing that the Code of Ordinances, the City of Dearborn Heights, be amended by amending Section 6-97 concerning the unlawful feeding of pigeons, gulls, and doves to include an addendum to address unlawful ground feeding, unlawful feeding of feral stray cats or dogs, and unlawful feeding of pigeons, gulls, and doves be considered read for the first time as outlined in 11A.
Support. Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilman Constant. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman, go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. First, I want to thank the Ordinance Department, Corp Council, and the CAT Coalition on giving their input and working on this proposal ordinance. First, I want to make sure that the Corp Council work on the effective date paragraph and make sure the second to be said only first time and the second time to be removed. And I would like, probably from Director Distrom, at least to have a pamphlet that explains the approved feeding so people can know moving forward. And I just want to mention whatever he mentioned, that this is not about feral cats. This is about people just throwing food out there and, attracting different kind of animals to the yards. Thank you, Council Chair.
Thank you, Councilman.
Council Chair.
Just quickly, so I had a couple notes here. I, like Councilman Ahmad, did notice that it says on there it's a first and second reading in the actual ordinance itself, so I hope to have that corrected with the motion. Also, also, I had some discussions with the ordinance officer, Bunker, in regards to the approved list for feeding. And I checked with him. I said, what is considered approved? Because obviously it's an arbitrary term. It's pretty much kind of sort of going to be at that particular point at the discretion of the ordinance officer. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, where anybody that would like to feed feral cats, et cetera, would have to contact the ordinance department, speak maybe with the ordinance officer, Bunker, who is pretty familiar with a lot of the things as far as animal control is concerned, and so is Director Disharoon. And then at that point, they would have a conversation with the person. If they felt comfortable enough, they would say that it is approved. If not, they would direct them to either some educational ways to learn how to do this correctly, or maybe even he himself, he mentioned, may be willing to go meet with the person to show him the proper way to feed. Also, one of his concerns, I had a long conversation with him, and he mentioned me, one of the concerns is if done improperly, a male and a female cat can potentially have a litter of 120 kittens total within a year. And obviously, I do see his concern there. But also, I can speak for myself. I've had very serious concerns with this, and I've talked to everybody involved and read up as much as I can on this. There's still the humane thing that I personally, I'm just speaking for myself personally, I can't see not feeding a cat, and maybe it's small-mindedness, but that's for me, the humane part of me cannot see myself personally approving the non-feeding of any, well, I shouldn't say any animal, but at least especially cats, et cetera, et cetera.
Council Chair.
Councilman?
Thank you, Council Chair. And kind of echo the same thing that you're stating here. This is a very tough decision. And look, us here as those who are putting together statutes for the city, making sure that we're protecting all residents that represent, we're representing 65 to 68,000 constituents in the city. And you are getting both sides, and I'm getting an earful from both sides. I will tell you, there's a neighbor that lives in my neighborhood who drops a pound of rice, and it's not okay. He throws it on the grass. Because there is no ordinance in place, this resident is allowed to continue to throw that, which allows now possums and different rodents to come in and eat that, the rice. I mean, it's very, and I knocked on his door and said, this is not okay. The argument can always be, which, granted he didn't, could be, well, give me the ordinance that says it's not okay. So, I mean, there really is some, back and forth on this. And then it's also extremely hard on me, an animal lover, somebody who loves his dog at home, to think that if my dog one day was roaming the streets and had no food, that a neighbor or a resident is not allowed to feed my dog because my dog is cold, hungry, and tired. So it really, you're putting us in a position that's extremely difficult. We want to represent everybody on this, but we're putting some type of pickle. So what I'd like to recommend is, and I know you guys have sat down together before, we need to come together and find some type of resolution to where we can say, okay, you can feed, and I think Councilman Ahmad said, give us a list. You can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You do 1 through 5 of these things, you're gonna get a ticket. But there needs to be some type of ordinance together. So I would like to make some type of approval on this on a first reading under the conditions of maybe we can change the ordinance to where it says there needs to be some type of list that says okay, and a list that says this is not okay and this is not acceptable. But leaving it vague makes it extremely hard on all of us. It makes it hard on the animal lovers, and really, it makes it hard on everybody in here, because I see both sides.
Thank you. Councilman Ahmad? You didn't? Okay. Councilman Wenzel?
Yes. The fact that these people are here voicing their concerns about the language in this ordinance is enough to make me concerned about it. I think they brought up a lot of good questions, and I think they should be addressed before we approve this reading. I'm not sure the process of approving a reading, it's got to be read 3 times? Twice. And then it becomes an ordinance. So I think before we approve this reading, we should address those concerns that these residents brought up. A couple of them, feeders that none of the feed falls on the ground. I've never seen one of those. I mean, they might make one, but I mean, what does that mean? I mean, we have to take this language and define this language a little bit better.
I will say, I want to add something on here, believe it or not. I have a friend every single morning sits in his office, he works from home, he records his camera, he has a bird feeder in Dearborn, and I'm putting it out there because I know somebody earlier said, show me a bird feeder that, allows things to fall to the ground or whatnot.
Or does not allow it.
That doesn't
Doesn't
allow?
allow, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, because, I watch the birds eat, and it drops, and then the squirrels come and they, they eat it. So, it's a tough situation, guys. Honestly, it's really tough. But I also want some type of ordinance in there that says my neighbor cannot throw his mlochia or his rice or his green beans or the chicken nugget that was shown in front of us. I want something in that play, but I also want something in the play that
Council Chair.
says, you can feed like my mother who gives a neighbor cat that eats this, cat food.
Okay.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
I love all animals. And I remember one day hitting a possum on Gully Road, just north of Michigan Avenue one morning going to work. I pulled over to the side of the road to see if I could help it, and obviously I must not have hit it hard enough because it was gone. But I was shaken up. But I can tell you what the shame of everything is the people who have allowed these cats to go roaming free in the start, or the dogs. They started it, and we're not addressing the issue. Even people that aren't, the cats that are not feral cats, that people actually own them, that let them roam the city and get in everybody's garbage. Then they go home, okay, and or do whatever they do on your property. That's the shame of it all. There's residents out there who are not taking care of their animals. They leave dogs outside when it's cold or it's hot, and that's a big problem from the start. So I'm agreeing with this because it's something that we can start, then we can amend later on as we go along and discuss with people who actually do this the right way.
And I agree with you, Councilman, in terms of irresponsible residents, but at the same time, and again, it's maybe the soft heart part of me, that cat or that dog did not make that decision.
Correct.
And so just because a irresponsible resident made a irresponsible decision and let go of a cat or a dog, et cetera, that animal did not make that decision. And I can't, in my heart of hearts, like I said at a meeting a couple months back, and I don't have a cat, I don't have a dog, but on our patio, a cat started showing up, like, it seems like almost every day.
Are you illegally feeding it?
Yes, I was. At the time, I didn't know it was illegal. But even if I knew it was illegal, honestly, I would still put food out there. I cannot just turn away and just think, okay, let it go, let it feed for itself. I just can't do it.
Council
So
Chair.
that's me.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to add something. You keep saying that we're trying not to feed the cats. We're okay feeding the cats, but we want them to be done the way the Cat Coalition people are doing it, the approved way, the right way. Because, keep in mind, we had 77 complaints last 12 months on people just throwing food in the yard. That's bringing, different kind of animals and rodents, and we have to be fair to both
Close
sides.
78, because I'm one of them. I just didn't file the complaint.
Probably that's you. So, we want them to feed the cats or the feral cats, but it has to be an approved way. I'm ready to approve this on one condition, that I need to see a pamphlet that explains exactly the items of our approved feeding, exactly what they can do or what they cannot do.
Okay.
Council
Let's bring
Chair.
in Officer, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilman, and then
just real
Officer
quick.
Bunker. Wait, actually, Councilman, can you do me a huge
wait,
favor?
yeah, sure.
There's a reason.
Okay.
First of all, Officer Bunker, happy birthday to your twins. I know he's celebrating his twins' birthday, and he's agreed to come on at least to speak before they start the birthday party, so happy birthday to them. Officer
birthday.
Bunker, go ahead, you can unmute and go ahead and speak.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so the ordinance is not saying that you cannot feed cats. What it's doing is it's giving us an opportunity to be able to go out and educate people who are not doing it correctly. If they're putting out food and leaving it there for hours upon hours upon hours, and allowing other animals like raccoons, possums, skunks, rats to come in and get the food afterwards. The idea of the approved feeding through the animal control director, or if I'm the one that goes out, is to go out and maybe have a conversation with the person, hey, I'm feeding this many cats. Is this okay? Yeah, that's okay. Or I'd like to come out and see how you're doing it. no, that's perfect the way that you're doing it, or, hey, honestly, you might need to change this, because that's not safe to give animals. I'm sure some of you saw the post that came on Facebook about the lady that lives up against the park, where randomly someone's throwing bread and bagels into the thing. A lot of people don't realize that carbs, bread products, are the worst thing to give to wildlife, because it's all sugars. It breaks down, becomes sugars in their system, and it actually makes them sick. They love it because it's fast, it's filling, and they get a full meal, they get a whole bagel. What squirrel wouldn't like that? But that's not proper. As for cats, I've personally seen someone throwing rotisserie chickens in their backyard. That is not okay. The idea of approved feeding is to make sure you're doing it properly. We can come out, have a conversation, look at it, or what, but that doesn't stop the people who, like Councilman Baydoun said, is putting rice out. That's not feeding cats, that's feeding anything that wants to go over there and eat it. We're not telling you you can't feed cats. It's an idea, a base start to us allowing us to be able to get a control on it, because the other part of it is feeding. What are the people that are feeding it doing to control the population? Are they just feeding cats, and every time they have a litter of kittens, they add it to it? No, that has to be part of it. Ground feeding has nothing to do with TNR. TNR is putting a trap out with food in it, and then you trap the cat, take it, and TNR it. Ground feeding is absolutely different. And as for dogs at large, we've never had in Dearborn Heights that I can think of a dog that wasn't eventually trapped by us to pick up with a live trap. There's no dogs that we would have to get out. And yes, our neighbors do feed them. We, in animal control, chased a husky for a week because the entire neighborhood was feeding it, and it wouldn't go into our live trap.
Okay.
It's not about not feeding the cats or letting the cats starve. It's, if you're doing it properly, that's not unapproved, that's not unlawful. We just need to be able to get a handle on the people that are throwing 5 pounds of bird seed into their backyard on the ground and then calling on their neighbor because they saw a rat in the backyard.
Okay. Thank you, Director. I'm sorry. Thank you, Officer. Officer, I apologize. Officer. And happy birthday to your twins again.
Council
Any
Chair.
other council members?
Council Chair? Council Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman. I'm sorry.
You know, as much as I don't want to say dislike, study sessions, because this body has been asked to come in for meetings every week for the last, it's no breaks. But I think this is something where we should probably have a study session. I'd like to make a motion that we have a study session. There are a lot of concerns, like the officer just said. We want to educate. Maybe that should be in this, an education program to the public. And like Councilman Ahmad said, maybe a little booklet available or something online saying this is what, the do's and don'ts. I think I never thought I'd get this far, but it's a hot topic, and I think it's worthy of a study session.
Okay.
We had a study session.
We did have one.
We did, but obviously there's additional stuff that keeps coming up on this thing. Okay, any other comments from Councilman? Councilman Constant, go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair Abdullah. It's counterintuitive, it sounds like, the ordinance, that it's going to possibly harm cats. It's to help cats. It's to help cats in the environment where the cats live. City of Dearborn Heights, where humans also live. So can somebody feed their cat in their kitchen? Yes. They can't throw bring a cat chow out their backyard, their backyard because they saw a cat. My daughter, my youngest, loves cats because other animals, rats, possums, squirrels can get that same Purina cat chow and eat it, and it causes more of a problem than it does not help the cats. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Council Chair, I would just add.
Yes, go ahead.
To what Mr. Bunkers said.
Corporation Council.
The Humane Society, the contract we have with the Humane Society does provide for approved feeding and training for residents.
Okay, of residents, you said? Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, now hearing none, we're gonna go ahead and, okay, I'm sorry, Director Dishon, go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to reiterate once again, the Dearborn Heights Cat Coalition, I'm making an assumption here because I have literally no information about what they have going on. They've already taken animals out of the city. That was enumerated in an email recently. They've quote unquote rehomed cats already. Under no authority are they allowed to do that, but that's a separate matter. But if these individuals that are part of this group are following all the rules, like Corporation Counsel Farina said, there are classes that they can take at Michigan Humane that will properly teach how to do this stuff. If all the people that are involved in the Dearborn Heights Cat Coalition are properly trained and doing everything properly, they're probably never going to be on our radar. And I said this earlier, I don't think they've been on our radar yet. I can't say that for sure. I don't know that for sure, but that's my assumption. So this is very frustrating. We're never going to, every single time there's a goal that's met, there's another issue that comes off, and we keep pushing this back further and further, trying to accommodate this group. And like I said, I don't have a problem working with them, but I think this has gotten out of control, quite honestly. And I don't think any amount of study sessions or anything like that's going to solve this. I said, you have my word that I will work with this group. I said that, I mean that. Robert was speaking on my behalf when he spoke to this group, that the Dearborn Heights Cat Coalition, that we will work with them.
Okay, thank you, Director. So we're gonna go ahead and put this, go ahead,
Council Chair,
Councilman.
just before we vote.
And then we're gonna wrap it up.
My vote depends on exactly what I said. If we approve this today as a first reading only,
Yeah,
not
first
first and
reading.
second,
Correct.
we're gonna change the effective date. And the second thing, would we have a flyer or a pamphlet explaining exactly what's an approved feeding? Because I wanna protect the people who's feeding the cats, the right way. So Director, can we have some kind of policy that explain exactly what's an approved feeding by the second reading?
Did you, Councilman Ahmad, did you get the email earlier?
I did.
Okay. The issue, and maybe Mr. Farina, Corporation Counsel Farina would like to speak to this. You're putting us in a very difficult position because we have an agreement with Michigan Humane. We have a legally binding agreement with Michigan Humane to take our stray animals there. The group, the Dearborn Heights Cat Coalition, was offered the same opportunity to use their resources to do the TNR program there as well, but they don't want to not have control where the animals go back to. Once we take the animals, the cats and their dogs, to Michigan Humane, they're the ones that try to get them back to the home, because for me, that's the ultimate goal. Just because the cat's out and stray doesn't mean it doesn't have a home. So, there's a gray area there, and I mean, if Corporation Counsel wants to weigh in on it, that would be great, but as far as, like, putting a pamphlet out, like I said, they can go to Michigan Humane. If this group, this Dearborn Heights Cat Coalition, is doing everything by the book, they should all be, have already taken the courses and the handful of classes that they have through Michigan Humane to learn how to do this properly.
Director, and I'm so sorry, it's Councilman Baidoon, and my question to you is, to me, I find it hard for us to say, we have an agreement with the Michigan Humane Society, but if you want to learn it, you should go to the Michigan Humane Society. We're failing our residents if that's what we're telling them. So my question to you is, maybe you can, like Councilman Ahmad asked, put together a pamphlet based on what the Michigan Humane Society's recommendations are on the agreement that we have with them, and give them to the residents and say, if you're going to do it, this is how you do it. If you don't do it this way, you can be ticketed, and we don't expect you to do it this way. But to say, go to the Michigan Humane Society and figure out how they expect you to do it, look, that's just a lot of back and forth. Let somebody walk into the ordinance department, pick up a pamphlet, see what it's like and how they have to do it, and explain it, and we'll educate our residents our way. I mean, it's not like there's 200 people in the city right now doing this. I want to say it's a group.
I think,
With all due respect, I have no idea how many people are involved in this Dearborn Heights Cat Coalition. They were supposed to give us information on the cats that they have removed from our city. They've rehomed 8 cats. They have no authority to do that, since you brought this up. They're doing their TNRs. They could be taking somebody's animal. We have a redemption process that we follow. I'm not saying they're bad people. I think Lisa and the rest of the group, their heart's in the right spot. And I understand this is a very hotbed issue, but my biggest concern is that somebody might have their animal taken and they don't have the ability to redeem that cat.
I agree with you on that.
I'm just going to add, Council Chair,
Go ahead.
that I think we're getting a little aside. We're focusing on the animal feeding, and I think communication, education are always paramount. And if Humane Society could provide pamphlets educating on how to feed the animals, I think that would go a long way. I'm not going to get into the TNR because we have ordinances about that, but we followed the Humane Society. We have a contract. Director DeShun is correct. And that's not an issue with the animal feeding per se. We're talking about focusing on how to do it correctly and not getting out of control with that issue.
Council Chair?
We all set, Councilman?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sorry,
Okay,
but
then-
this
and
is-
then we're gonna wrap this up, so.
Corp Council, I mean, it says here, any approved feeding shall be reviewed and approved by the director of the animal control ordinance. What does he depend on to approve each case? What if he's on vacation? What if somebody else comes in? I mean, we need something like some kind of policy that somebody is following.
No disagreement with that. It'll be itemized. We're just going to take the material from Humane Society, how to do it correctly. Pamphlets would help it if he's away. And no one knows, of course, the ordinance department knows how to do it correctly, and they've been trained. But we encourage residents to go to Humane Society. They do a training class on it, not a long, extensive class, but we can have flyers explaining how to feed and focus on that issue.
Okay.
I can see if
So-
I can get that information from Michigan Humane. I
Okay.
assume they have pamphlets. That's not something we have in the office.
Okay. thank you,
Council Chair, I have
Director.
one quick question for the director.
Okay, this is the last question. We gotta
All
wrap
right.
it up. Go ahead.
Director, have you met with the coalition personally?
I have not.
Oh,
Well, but just to be fair on that, because I don't want to make the director look like he's not doing the right thing. The director, there's 2 people, the director himself and Officer Bunker are animal control specialists. So, yes, that's our director, but he assigned Officer Bunker to be working directly with this
Okay.
particular coalition. So it's not like he's completely
Officer
blown it off.
Bunker has met with them personally?
Yes, he has.
The number?
As far as I know, correct? Yes, correct.
Are you
Yes.
satisfied with your meetings with them?
He works with us. Last summer, we met with.
You know, come on up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, Officer Bunker, we met with him. We were actually supposed to meet with Director Dishrun and Officer Bunker at a meeting in the summer, but Officer Dishrun did not show up, but Officer Bunker was there. And since that meeting, I've had numerous phone calls with him. So he is actually working with us, but at the same time, there's just a lot of things that I feel like because he's not the director, he doesn't have the authority to make decisions on. So we would like to meet with the director.
Have you tried to reach out to the director?
Following that meeting in the summer when he did not show up at that meeting, we did ask him to follow up. I'm trying to remember exactly, but I'm thinking that either, I can't remember if it was a verbal discussion with Officer Bunker, to please relay this information to Director Dishrun. We want to follow up on the conversation that we had. I can't remember if it was put in writing. I'd have to look back at my emails and see if it was.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Lisa Alloway, I do thank you for all your work, and I do appreciate it. So let's go ahead and put this to a vote, but I want to make something clear. This is the first reading, so whoever, the person that made the motion was Councilman Muscat. I just want to make sure it's clear, because the ordinance says first and second reading. I just want to make sure you're clear in the motion that it's a first
I only
reading.
said first
He
reading.
only read
Okay.
it as.
I read it right here, first.
I know, but the ordinance itself
Read
says
itself.
first, and the ordinance itself
But
on the last.
my
Okay, I know, I'm just making it clear to all the council members.
My
Council Chair?
comment was, my reading of was a first reading.
Right, but the ordinance itself, that's what they attach,
Correct.
backup says
Yes.
first and second.
Council Chair.
Okay,
Can maybe Council Pro Tem maybe amend it to make sure second reading to be taken off from the effective date? And maybe we can add like a pamphlet of approved feeding to be added. The second
Well,
reading?
I'm just going to say that, Council Chair, I'm going to amend my motion to state that this is the first reading only and not the second reading. The second reading will follow up on this.
right, and we have directed administration to put together some sort of pamphlet or get some sort of pamphlet, put it maybe on the website.
This is
Get
going
it
to
out
get
there.
us started.
Correct.
It's going to get the
Starting
ball
point.
rolling.
Okay, so, motion made by Councilman Muscat, seconded by Councilman Constant. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Madam Clerk?
Dave Abdallah,
No.
Hassan Ahmad,
Yes.
Mo Baidoon,
No.
Nancy Breyer,
Yes.
Robert Constant,
Yes.
Ray Muscat,
Yes.
Tom Wenzel.
No.
Motion carries 4-3.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Council Chair, so, apparently we're going to have a second reading
Correct.
coming up. Can we have the language changed that reflects all the concerns of the council members here?
We just did
So,
that.
I mean, with the
So-
pamphlet, I mean.
Well, no, not,
You're
not.
saying it's going to be in the reading, no?
Right. No, I see the councilman's point. So we directed administration / directly, the ordinance department to go ahead and make some changes and put in some pamphlets, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe between the director Dishroon, Officer Bunker, and our corporation council, at the next reading, maybe they can make some additional amendments. Or at the very minimum, maybe we see action steps, then that may be good enough at that point.
Because what the comment was is we want some pamphlets, and it wasn't put that information in the next reading specifically.
But the directors agreed that
Yeah,
they're
okay.
working on it.
We get to do that
Put
at
it
the
in
next
the
second reading.
Right. And as the director, obviously, by all of us bringing that up, he knows at the next reading, that's gonna be brought up again, of course. Okay. So, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is Council Chair Abdallah, resolution supporting the position of the Arab Community Center for Economic and Social Services, otherwise known as Access, to add the race and ethnicity of Middle Eastern and North African, otherwise known as
Yeah.
MENA, MENA, populations to all federally conducted and supported data collection activities.
Council
Second.
Chair.
Chair.
Councilman Baydun.
Council- I thought you read it, because I thought you were doing it.
No, I'm not gonna read it.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council concur with the Arab Community Center of Economic Social Services, also known as Access, for the revision of the statistical policy directed number 15 to add and support, 15 to add the race and ethnicity of Middle Eastern and North African MENA population to all federally conducted and supported data collection activities as outlined in 11B.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Baydun and seconded by Councilman Ahmad. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair.
Councilman, go ahead.
Thank you so much for bringing this forward. Thank you so much to Access for being here with us. I grew up with a family that's been involved with Access and used their resources, and they go above and beyond to all race, ethnicity, all human beings. I truly, truly love the organization, and I thank you, Council Chair, for bringing this forward and putting this here, and thank you to having somebody here from Access with us who is, fighting the good fight. Thank you.
I'd also like to add, in terms of Access, I've been around Access for many, many, many years, including kind of funny story. It was the first grilled cheese I ever ate in the United States of America as an immigrant was through Access. So that was my first tasting of grilled cheese.
Was
but
it American cheese?
It was American cheese. American cheese and cold milk, which I didn't know existed back in my old country. But anyways, a great organization. They're bringing this forward. I've also dealt with Access on this through my position as one of the commissioners on CEMIA, which is the Middle Eastern Affairs Commission in the state of Michigan, and we've dealt with this. It's specifically to have a better count of minorities, specifically Arab American and African minorities, to not be counted as white. And this is no reflection of anti-white or anything like that, so that nobody takes it that way. It's just they will have a lot more resources available to them through the federal government, whereas right now, people of Middle Eastern descent are counted as white, which obviously does not bring in enough resources to that particular community. And all we are doing here is just bringing it out in the open for discussion, obviously, and I fully support this myself
Chair,
personally.
Sarcastically, does it Maltese Americans count as that?
I would agree.
Since we're only
Yes.
60 miles
If
south of
you'd have to
Sicily
be-
and
it's
about
speci-
100 miles north of
right.
Africa.
So it'd be my honor to be counted, but I can tell you specifically, this specifically addresses Middle Eastern or North African category. So in this case, we'll adopt you.
Wait a minute, Malta, for Phoenicians, man, come on.
I know, we'll adopt you, we'll adopt you.
Council Chair?
Councilwoman Breyer, you had a comment earlier? Or you're
No,
all
just
set?
a point of order that we got to quit talking about that.
Okay.
Council Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair Abdullah, and thank you for introducing this resolution. And the origin, one thing that people may not know, I have a sister that works for the U.S. Census, is the census. So if the census comes through the Dearborn area, they count every Arab American, Greek American, Italian American, Polish American, all just as American, and not, and obviously, there's funding, it's done every year by the United States Census. With that, the numbers, let me hastily add, comes, money comes funds. So think for every person counted in category 1 comes $1, and then for every person in category 2 comes $10, and so on. And myself as a European American, but not as an Arab American, I'm put in the same category as you are, as Councilman Mo Beydoun, as Councilman Ahmed Hamad.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Any other discussions on
Council
this?
Chair?
Councilman, go ahead.
Just want to thank you for bringing this forward, and I would like to salute Access for looking out for, for the Middle Eastern and the North African, and for always doing, being in the ballot for everybody and doing a great job. Thank you, Council Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Wenzel?
Yeah. Would a representative from Access like to stand up and give us a few words on,
She did earlier, but
I mean,
spoke.
Come on
are
up.
you the only one here?
Yeah, I would
Yes.
just like
Okay. I mean, it was brief, and, I know you do more than ethnic things, Access does.
They do grilled
Yes.
cheese.
Yeah.
So I actually was just discussing the MENA resolution, but Access does a lot of things. It actually has over 150 programs. We have our Community Health and Research Center. We actually have locations in Dearborn, Ferndale, Detroit, Sterling Heights. We have 2 different clinics, one in Dearborn, one in Sterling Heights. So we not only cater to the American community, but anybody that comes to Access for services. So one of the things that we are working on currently is this policy. So this is something that, the policy arm of Access, which is the National Network for American Communities, has taken on. So NAC itself is actually a consortium of over 32 American organizations spread over 12 different states. So these are other American organizations that actually supported in this initiative. And we've actually collected over close to 13,000 public comments just between Access and its network of American organizations throughout the country. So we're really looking forward to this resolution passing, not only here, but also the federal government, creating this MENA designation in terms of us having our own race and ethnicity category, and also the combined question that they're also currently doing as well in terms of the directive being changed.
Yeah, I know, excuse me, I've been in communication with a member of your organization about health issues.
Yes.
Particularly smoking, and I'm working on having him come and speak at one of our council meetings. Access is a broad
Yes.
organization. It covers a lot of things. And
Yeah.
my hat goes off to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. My question is, what do you think, what's our chances for this policy being, passing in the federal level?
So Access has been around for 52 years. This policy itself, this directive, and getting this MENA category, Access is working on it for close to 30 years. So we actually have very high hopes. Just to preface, we were supposed to get this category in 2016, but the Trump administration deemed it unnecessary, and that's when they removed it. So we have really high hopes that we're going to get this category, but we won't get a definitive answer till the summer of 2024 as to whether we get it or not.
I just have one quick question,
Yes.
Councilman, if it's okay. I know that there was an organization that went through this at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. And, you know, I know one of his name was Jed, and he was really, him and Nadine
Yes.
Jawad and them were really going on the forefront on this.
Absolutely.
And then it just went away. And I knew they were wearing shirts that said, I exist too.
Absolutely. So they didn't just go away. So they actually did champion getting a MENA category at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. So one of our NAC organization members up in Flint, the American Heritage Council, they actually got the Flint campus just last year to get the MENA designation. So we are seeing MENA popping up in the state of Michigan, but we're hoping that our other NAC members in different states are also actively doing that. So we actually had a NAC member in Illinois pass a MENA bill.
Wow.
So we're hoping, so it's getting a lot of traction. So we're hoping that we just keep the momentum going, especially here in the state of Michigan.
Do you mind telling the residents what they can do on their part, hopefully
Yes.
to push this policy forward?
So currently, we actually have a phone to action, so where any individual can actually go up to our phone to action. We already have comments written. You can submit your own comment in alliance with the MENA category, or if you know someone that's MENA, just because we do right now face a lot of inequities. So this is just one way to kind of rectify that.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Let's go ahead and put this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Congratulations. Next item on the agenda is item 11C, City Engineer Dib, resolution for Clean Water State Revolving Fund Loan Application for the Lower Rouge CSO L41 Sewer Separation Project.
Council Chair,
Councilman Muscat?
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council adopt the following resolution in support of the city's current effort to obtain 50% loan from the State of Michigan Clean Water State Revolving Fund. Whereas the City of Dearborn Heights recognizes the need to make improvements to existing wastewater treatment and collection system or its existing NPS pollution control stormwater treatment system. And whereas the City of Dearborn Heights authorizes Wade Trim to prepare a project plan which recommended the construction of the Lower Rouge CSO area L41 sewer separation project. And whereas the said project plan was presented at a public hearing held on April 24th, 2023, and all public comments have been considered addressed. Now therefore be resolved that the City of Dearborn Heights formally adopts said project plan and agrees to implement the selected alternative number 1. Be it further resolved that the mayor, a position currently held by Bill Bazey, is designated as the authorized representative for all activities associated with the project referenced above, including the submittal of said project plan as a first step in applying to the state of Michigan for a revolving fund loan to assist in the implementation of the selected alternative. In addition, authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the application on behalf of the city as outlined in 11C.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Muscat and seconded by Councilwoman Breyer. Any discussion on that?
Council Chair,
Councilman, go ahead.
unfortunately, I missed the meeting yesterday. It was me and my wife's anniversary yesterday, and I tried to get on.
Happy
if I could.
anniversary.
Thank you. Wasn't this funded before us in some way? And did we take monies out of the funding for it, or?
So Councilman, L41 is part of the 21 bond issue. Yes, so it was in a way funded, but the funds we sold the $25 million bonds for a list of 5 projects, and that's one of them. That was one of them. We are on project number 3, and we're not going to have enough money. So the decision was made to, we're not going to have enough money to do all 5. So the projects were estimated pre-COVID, and prices have increased since 2019. And we are currently facing a situation where we made commitment to Eagle to address the 3 CSOs
They're part of that bond, and this is the last one. So we finished one, L43. 42 is underway to be completed this year. 41 is the next project that must be completed by 2026. So to that regard, so we are in the third step of a process to apply for Clean Water Revolving Fund loan, which is a 50%. We are at 50%. I just made aware yesterday that other communities, this is a very, very competitive loan process.
And I think you should make it clear, this is with loan forgiveness.
It is a loan. It is a
So we
loan,
won't have
but
to
they
pay it
gave us
back.
a 50%, which is a very high percentage compared to other communities. I've seen communities, their projects rated at 10% support or 20. We are at 50. And because of our situation that we are a overburdened community, the loan forgiveness comes next. But I can't forgive a loan until I actually have one, right? So we are looking at $3 million possibly of free money, which will then, going back to your original question, that will give me enough room to finish the projects under the original bond that we sold without having to go back and add more debt service to the citizens.
How much are we asking for a loan?
6.
6 million?
Well, it's the 50% of 6, so it's
Yeah.
not 3.
So-
3. I
okay,
have my consultant with me, so if you
Didn't
want.
didn't we bond like for $27 million? Was that what it was? And that was
So
for the projects and then
Yes, so
water
in
meter
doing a
replacement?
bond, sir, you always consider the cost of money as part of it. So it is 27, but the actual number is, because you have to pay interest, right, when you bond. So if you consider the interest as part of what you pay back, yes, you took 25, but you're going to pay 27, right? By the time you make all your payments, just like your mortgage.
Okay, one kind of related question is that original bond at 25 or $27 million, that included a water meter replacement. And I've gotten several calls, for a long time about water meter replacements. I mean, is that a project, it was figured in, but is that gonna happen now? Or
Yes,
is that gonna be a
yes,
separate bond?
so part of the reason why it hasn't happened, and I know Councilwoman Baydun has been on my case ever since, we had 3 out of the 5 projects were actual commitment to Eagle, the CSOs, separating the CSOs. We agreed to a timeline. And unfortunately, when I came on board 2 years ago, I was given the list of projects with the money available, the bond money, to do the projects, right? One was almost done. We finished it on budget. Second one is not on budget because of the cost difference. And the third one, so I'm looking at the pool of money, the 25 million is a fixed amount. We already sold the bonds. We went to the voters to get voters' approval for the list of projects. So what I don't want to do is put out a project now that I don't have enough money for, right? So if we get this loan forgiveness, if I get that money back into the pool, if I have the project that we agreed to complete by 26, then yes, that will give us a chance to go back and put a project out on the street to replace the meters. Then I'll have enough money, right? I just don't have enough now to do them.
So what you're saying is that we legally sort of have to do these 3 projects, the CSO projects, right?
Absolutely.
And then the water meters, that's just something that our discretion.
It is, so the last piece of that, it is a discussion, it is needed. I'm not questioning that. It's needed. It's not mandated. The CSOs are mandated. They're actually pushing us down to commit to the next 3 CSOs. Eagle is pushing for those because that is the law. You have to separate. But we're resisting it because the next 3 packages are $45 million, and I don't have $45 million.
Where's the biggest combined sewer problem in the city?
Well, there's 3 primary areas. 2 midway, so north of Avondale, up to just north of, or south of Cherry Hill, in that area, Gully, Beach Daly, from Cherry Hill down to Avondale. I'm sorry, not Avondale, Annapolis. So L41 goes all the way down to Annapolis. So that's area 1. Area 2 is up in the north part of the city, U1, M13, M14, up, near Ann Arbor Trail where it comes through in Telegraph area. So, and there's already several combined sewer areas that are controlled in that region that actually discharge to the basin that exists up there. But you have 3 uncontrolled, which Ali mentioned, which I just mentioned in name, that the state has mandated that we address. And we're not to those yet because of the debt service, but they're coming. So you had asked a question about the water meters, and, this will be in front of you next month as well as we pursue it, because we're applying for a drinking water state revolving fund as well, project plan. And within that, we've included the meter project.
So as a policy issue, we are seeking alternative funding to all the projects, all of our needs, all of our capital needs. The last thing on the list of choices to fund the project is going back and adding debt service to our taxpayers. We're looking for alternative funding every possible way we can, and that is to offset our rates. So we have high rates and charges for all our projects. And that includes all of our projects. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed coming into this position is that we pay for all our stuff. Pavement, waters, we pay for everything. We never asked for capitals. We never asked for assistance. We never asked for grants, any kind. So that's not the case anymore. Going forward, we're asking for any and every possible funding that we can get. Any free money we get, we're going for it.
I live in the South End. I lived there my whole life, and I've got residents in the area asking me, our sanitary and our storm go together? And I said, I don't think there's nothing in the South End that there's no combined sewer in the South End.
No, and they don't go together. It's only when you overcharge the system is where it potentially the sanitary will flow into the river. It's not that every day you flush your toilet, it ends up in the river. That's not the case.
Okay, we got to take this to a vote.
Council Chair, just one real quick comment.
Go ahead.
Great meeting yesterday, the two of you.
Oh, thank you.
Too bad that more people didn't show up, because this is a tremendous amount of money that's gonna be spent. And unfortunately, hardly anybody showed up. We had a few residents on Zoom, and we go to spend this money, and this is what we're gonna hear later. Why are we spending this money? Been made all public. People complain about not
Being told.
being told or being transparent. Very transparent. Great meeting yesterday.
Thank you.
Explained I know you weren't here. You were
Texas.
obviously not here.
I was
You were
was
on
on
Zoom.
but he
yes.
was on Zoom, yes.
But I thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Constant, go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. And I just again want to thank our city engineer, Ali Deeb,
Appreciate it.
and the gentleman with him for, all the work you've done.
Oh, thank you.
You helped save Dearborn Heights taxpayers a lot of money because you've made this federal, state, local money that's being spent much, much more efficiently.
We're asking for our share. We're simply asking for our share, and there's no harm. I mean, we may not get every project because the project, this is clean water. On the drinking water side, we are also, it will be coming shortly to you for approval. We're doing the same thing. We're asking for, about 30 million?
31 million, yeah.
31 million worth of projects. So there is no harm. We're knocking on every door that can possibly get us. And that, if we get that, even if I get 50% of that with loan forgiveness, I'm up 15-some million dollars. That's not bad.
And remember, what we're gonna tell them the next time the state mandate tells us they want us to do something. We're gonna say, give us the money then.
I'm gonna send them to you.
We're gonna tell them, give us the money then.
Okay.
Yes, and, so, again,
Thank you, sir.
we're also maximizing the grant money we're getting because of our city engineer, Mr. Deeb.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Let's go ahead and put this to a vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda
Council
is
Chair.
13A.
Council Chair.
Go ahead.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council renew the business license for Red Lobster Hospitality at 6850 North Telegraph as outlined in 13A.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Baydoun, seconded by Councilman Muscat. And discussion?
Council Chair.
Go ahead.
I believe this is my third time reading the renewal of Red Lobster. It's actually, I love the restaurant. It's great. I enjoy it. Bless you to our director. And you know what? They always do such a great job, well-maintained. Kudos to them.
Council Chair,
Thank you. Councilman Ahmad?
Councilman Baydun, any family member works at Red Lobster? Just for the record.
No, no family members work there.
I
Get free
swear.
lobsters on the year.
No, no, I don't even eat the lobster, believe it or not. I eat the bread and the mashed potatoes.
I'm not gonna address that one. Okay. Any other council members with comments?
Council Chair?
Yes.
I'm not sure if the clerk has, I thought Red Lobster was on a list for, let's see, from the court. So I'm not sure if you looked at
It said
that.
0-0. There was nothing
there was
old.
nothing?
Nothing old.
Not through the business licensing.
Uh-oh.
Was that it, Mayor? or-
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go back and look at it, but we can, that's okay. You can go on.
Okay.
We can amend it later.
So let's go ahead and take
Let
this
me
to a
look at it.
vote. All in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. All right, next item. Okay, now, we're gonna keep this as minimal as possible, please. Comments from council members.
Council Chair?
Councilman Baydun.
Thank you so much, and, you know, I just want to congratulate all of my brothers and sisters in Islam who just went out and observed 30 days of Ramadan where they didn't eat or drink for the last 30 days, and then they had a great celebration with Eid, so Eid Mubarak to everybody. You know, there's actually just some information that I want to share. I have an amazing neighbor of mine who's been living in the city for the last 44 years. Michael Aben, Sue Aben. We have 3 beautiful labs. They just listed their home for sale, and they're actually moving to the city of Livonia. I told him that I was actually going to recognize him. He's a man who served in the United States Army. You know, he deployed, I believe, once, and he is devastated that he's leaving the city of Dearborn Heights. He said, right before I'm about to leave, I start seeing street sweepers down the street. I mean, things, you know, it's so emotional to me as well because I grew with this man. It's my first home in the city. I end up with this veteran neighbor who is such a wonderful man. And you know, it's really, I feel like a piece of me is leaving right now. But, you know, the new neighbors that are coming in are a great family. But I just wanted to say, Mickey, Sue, you guys will be loved and you guys will be missed by the entire city of Dearborn Heights. They showed me an old photo of Chief Brogan, and I actually have the photo with me, but I won't show him. But he looked so young, had no glasses on. It was so weird. Yellow fire truck. But you know, Michael Aben, who I believe is also on Zoom with us right now, you'll definitely be loved, missed, and God bless you guys.
Thank you. And thank you for your service, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Council
Okay,
Chair.
Councilman?
Thank you, Council Chair. First, I would like to wish Councilman Winsel a happy anniversary, him and Mrs. Winsel. Second, I would like to commend our police department on the outstanding job they've been doing, even though they're short-staffed, especially with the robbery at the Chase Bank. And actually, there's been a bunch of theft in the neighborhood where I reached out to the chief and the directors, and right away they jumped on it. And actually, the chief did hold a community meeting where he explained exactly the process and the procedure that he took in order to stop all this theft. Third, like also.
Wait, no. They deserve a hand. Thank you.
Third, I would like also to wish everybody who observed the Eid Mubarak, and thank you, Council Chair.
Thank you.
Council Chair.
Councilman Muscat?
First things first, you know, we just heard from our engineer, and it's sad to say that this city has never applied for a doggone thing.
Yeah.
The millions of dollars that we lost over the years is just uncalled for. Past city councils, myself included, and past administrations dropped the football, and it's a shame. The one thing that I think that we could really use is a lobbyist in Lansing and have better relationship with the county so we don't lose out on any of this money. We have lost money because people don't even know Dearborn Heights exists. That's one of my main agendas here is to do something like that. Plus, I just want to let everyone know summer's coming. Be careful of the kids riding bikes and out there playing. And let's keep our properties picked up and cleaned up. We're starting to see it now, the blight. Please keep your lawns cut, shrubs trimmed. You may not have a manicured lawn or one that's weed-free, but at least keep the weeds cut. It's a horrible thing to see the dandelions growing, and then they turn into a big puff of white, and they stick up 8, 10, 12 inches. If you're not gonna keep it weed-free, at least keep it cut, so at least the neighborhood looks nice. And we all need to do a better job at trash maintenance, our management, and bag our trash as best as we can, so it doesn't blow around all over the place. And I'll address that later on with the administration on a few ideas that I have on that. So, thank you very kindly, Council Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. I'd just like to address to the administration, and I know I've spoken about this to previous administrations also. We got to continue, just like we had right now with the situation with Director Ali Deeb. We got to get a grant writer into the city. There's just and I know multiple cities have brought in grant writers, and you end up paying them, I'm not an HR director, obviously, but anywhere 70, 80, 90, whatever it is, $1,000, but it's worth every single penny we spend on that.
Absolutely.
Because they bring in multiple millions of dollars. So just like we're paying one grant writer in our fire department, Lisa, I'd like to commend her again, as I've done many times in the past. She does a great job. Well, for what we pay her, she's brought in millions and millions into our fire department. So again, I'd like to ask our administration to work on bringing in a grant writer. You would have my full support and approval, bringing somebody like that into our city to bring in additional grants and loans. Any other councilwoman? Go ahead.
Just a couple comments. In saying that the police department's doing such a good job in referencing Chase and the robbery, we also had a shooting on Friday morning that they were involved in and took care of. So that's additional. And since we complimented Tom on his anniversary, Ray just returned from a trip where he was celebrating his 30th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations, Ray.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
30 years, how'd you do it?
How'd she do it?
I've got her drugged.
He's got the easy part, yeah. Okay, any other council members with,
Council Chair?
Councilman, go ahead.
Well, I'd like to wish my wife a happy 48th anniversary celebration.
48?
She's great. I couldn't live without her for sure. Councilman Muscat mentioned all the grants that we missed out on, and one reason we're missing out on grants right now is because we don't have a master plan. I recommend that we submit our current master plan as a revised master plan, just to have a master plan, on the count or whatever it is, to show the state or whoever we get the grants from the master plan. I mean, right now, it looks like the process will take another year. And I've talked to several directors that we've missed out on grants because we don't have the master plan. I mean, can't we just submit the current master plan as revised?
The current master plan doesn't even depict what you have.
Can we do it and then make a new one in the next?
So it was actually yesterday, we received 3 bids. So it was been out on the street for a month. We only had, the first time around, we only had received 1 bidder, and we extended it again, and it is on the street. As of yesterday, we have 3 bids, all 3 qualifies, and they're actually good prices. So we may be coming to you to do the contract in the next council meeting. So it will be underway. But if you take the documents itself that we currently advertise as a master plan, it does not depict, it's been so old, and it's almost 20 years old. When a 5-year plan goes to 20 years, you dropped it a long time ago. We should have done an update. If you wanted to update existing, should have done that 15 years ago.
Well, we did do one about 15 years ago.
2007, sir. It's a 5-year plan. You can't, 2007, it's not 5 years.
It's not my fault.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying what it is.
I'm saying, but can't we just submit one, say this is it, and then go ahead with this new company that we hired to do a master plan, and then we can revise it at that, but not having the current master plan,
Okay, the reason they asked for a master plan, and I've done enough project submittals, and I do, most of my work has always been through grant money, because that's the right thing to do. But the reason for a master plan is to generate a capital improvement program after that, right? So the reason for that is once you decide what you wanted to do, you generate a 5-year capital improvement, CIP, and that will list the projects that will get you to where you want to be. So if that vision that you have is old and outdated, your CIP will have to match it, and it will be old and outdated. So I'm pushing to try to generate a capital improvement program, which will the city then decide This is the vision I need it to be. That's where I want to go. And that's what I need to do every year to get me there. That's the stuff that we're lacking. It's not just the plan itself, the pretty picture. It's the improvement, the CIP that will get you there. That needs
Okay.
updating.
I agree with that.
Council Chair.
I agree with that. I mean, go ahead, let's do that, and that's gonna take about a year, probably.
Probably.
You know, let's submit what we got now, so from now until the new one's done, we have a master plan submitted. I mean,
Okay.
can we do that? And, okay, we'll talk about
Okay,
that, you know, just to keep things short. You know, city council was informed that we're gonna have a wrap-up of our budget hearings, on a 1 hour session. And that's like, wow, 1 hour after all of these hours and hours and hours of talking. I mean, there were so many things thrown at us, people adding stuff in, people getting raises. You know, my suggestion was, you know, bare minimum raise across the board, I think it was 5%. And no new positions created, no new hires, no new projects that are gonna cost the city money. Put a moratorium on all these new hiring, no new positions created, no new projects that cost the city money, put a moratorium on till next year's budget. Now,
Okay,
that being
Council,
said, you know.
just to be clear, that's a lot of time, but it doesn't mean we end in 1 hour.
Yeah, I know,
Finish
but
it up.
still, there's a lot to do and, you know, in one hour
Right.
allocated for. And, you know, like Councilman Muscat said, it's getting warmer out, you've seen all the kids out there playing, great time to do something with your family, go off, bare minimum, go out for a family walk. Several people in our neighborhood, our family, we go out for a walk as much as possible, even when it's cool out. And you get the exercise, you get the family bonding together, plus you meet your neighbors. So it's a good thing to get out there as a family and go for a walk.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Any, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Thank you, Council Chair. Ramadan Kareem to the city of Dearborn Heights, those of our residents that observed and fasted during the holy month of Ramadan. Number one, and I just want to echo comments of what everyone said, including Councilman Tom Wenzel. Councilman Wenzel and I live in the same neighborhood, and the warm weather is coming, and all drivers, everyone be careful. No, you know, speeding around. I've done it just in an instant. You won't think about it, and as we know, in an instant, a young man was probably closer to my home than Tom's. Joseph Smith was killed. So, like I said, to echo what everyone said, and then say to our new Deputy Parks and Recreation Director that I used to have hair like that, but the ponytail, that's really something.
Appreciate that.
And your first name again is?
Anthony, I go by AJ.
AJ, thank you, AJ.
Okay, thank you.
Announcements?
Okay, well, before we go to announcements, Mayor, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, so there was a misleading statement, so I want to clarify about the funding. You know, so we do have, right now with the funding scout, we have 20 grant applications. So there's never been as many grant applications or grants as much as we have in the last couple of years. Right now, we're working on a few grants with Senator Peters and also Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. So we have about $8 million minimum in grants that we applied for, the earmark. And so far, it looks positive. I don't know how much money we're going to get, so now it has to go to their appropriation committee to vote on. So we have so far the 20 grant applications by the funding scouts. You know, we're meeting almost biweekly to get the status. We met just yesterday on those. And like I mentioned, the two grants, or several grants, the earmarked by the Senator Peters and also Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. And we have another grant we're working on with the city of Inkster to partner with paving the road, you know, between Inkster and Dearborn Heights. So I just want to make sure that you guys are clear on those.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. But again, and that's a great job, but I know we could probably double or triple that or whatever that number happens to be by having a full-time grant writer. And I know those are not, I want to make it clear, I'm not necessarily accusing, because I know it's not something you just find on the street. That's a very, very difficult, very skilled position, and it's not one that's necessarily, quote-unquote, taught. It's not like it's a career. I guess you just either have a knack for it or you don't, and those are a type of position that's in high demand, but please continue to focus on bringing in somebody. Again, you will always have my full support for hiring somebody like that. Any other council members with comments? I guess we've all been hit. So next is announcements. Councilwoman, go ahead.
All right, I have my usual two. Ecorse Creek meeting is tomorrow night, 6 p.m. At 3335 South Beach Daily. And then the South Dearborn Heights Civic Association at the same location on Thursday, the 27th at 7 p.m. We will have Parks and Rec Director, Kim, there to tell us all about what's going on there. And we'll have also Tom Roscoe, who's with Brownfield, I believe. It's similar to the TIFA board, and he'll explain what it is, how it works, and why it's been good for us in the one district. The other schools didn't take up on it a few years ago, so they've lost out. But essentially, this year we have $2,500,000 coming back to our community of our own money to be used by us. So TIFA is great, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other announcements from administration? I know Mike's gonna probably have one. Ladies first, no ladies first. Come on up, clerk. Sorry, Mike. I'll stop.
Good evening, honorable city council members.
Good evening.
As you know, 3 city council terms are expiring at the end of this year. Today at 4 o'clock was the filing deadline for those seats. I'd like to thank the potential candidates for the respect they have shown our office in making the appointments for returning their petitions. Myself and Deputy Clerk Flamont welcomed each candidate into our office where they all got to sit in the hot seat while we reviewed their paperwork, the necessary paperwork, for admissions and prior to verifying the signatures. This process ensured that all of the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted, and that those potential candidates had the proper paperwork filled out correctly prior to us verifying their signatures. Our office has been very busy verifying those signatures. I think the last ones were verified about 10 o'clock, except for one that we got later in the day, but today. Per the Bureau of Elections, if after completing the review of the filing document, it is determined that the filing is insufficient, which we have to have between 100 and 200, minimum of 100 signatures. It is recommended that the candidate be immediately notified of the determination so that arrangements can be made to obtain any additional signatures or affidavits prior to the filing deadline. So there were several potential candidates that did come in and file additional supplemental filings. If the number of valid signatures falls short of the number needed to certify the candidates to the ballot. Following the verification of those signatures, like I said, at least 100 to 200 is determined by our charter. The affidavits were emailed to the county. Upon receipt of the affidavit, each candidate should have received communication from the Wayne County's campaign finance manager, Mr. Gil Flowers. This Friday, so we're not there yet. This Friday, April 28th at 4 o'clock is the withdrawal deadline for anyone that changes their mind. I will be checking, even though City Hall is closed, I will be checking our Dropbox at 4 o'clock to make sure that we do not receive any requests. I would encourage each and every candidate to review the candidate committee information. I know that a lot of information is thrown at you, and I will probably be throwing more information at you guys to look over for guidelines, because there's a lot of guidelines when it comes with. I know we gave you the sign ordinance, the campaign finance, all the petitions and stuff, but there's a lot of rules that you have to follow when you run for office. So per our city charter, 72 hours after the final time for the filing nominating petitions, which was 4 o'clock today, the clerk's office shall notify all candidates in writing whose petitions are valid and sufficient So all of the candidates will be receiving an email today, or not today, will be receiving, like Friday, an email to let you know, okay? So that's it on elections. But I also wanted to note that tomorrow, Wednesday, April 26th, is Administrative Professional Day. And I would like to wish our council secretary, as well as all the staff in the clerk's office, as well as all of the administrative professionals at the city.
Ms. Clerk?
Council Chair?
Question, you said we would be, or should have received something from Gil Flowers already, or do we have to wait for that?
No, you should have received something. Well, you might not have. Maybe it was just the ones with, I can double check with you.
Because I have not received anything from Gil Flowers.
Way back when you first filed, when
Yeah, you can say it.
shortly
I
after
filed.
you filed, but I will check and see.
Yeah, because I did not receive anything from Gil Flowers.
Okay.
Your name is on there. I checked the city web, I checked the county web, you're on there.
Well, thank you very kindly.
Council Chair? Council Chair, I'd like to, thank our clerk and her staff there. I witnessed some petitions being submitted the other day, and she's very thorough about not just taking them and saying thank you. She's going over them, making sure that everything is on there that needs to be on there to make it a legal petition. And I myself was a victim of a petition technical error years and years ago when I was running for a school board, and I just turned my petitions in, they took them, and I was notified a couple days later, said, oh, you didn't put the dates on these, all these petitions are no good. But my hand goes off to you. I mean, you guys do a great job, very thorough, very polite, and, it was a pleasure witnessing that process.
Democracy at its finest.
One more thing, you didn't tell everybody that I was the guinea pig.
Okay. Chief Staff, what? Chief Staff, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm multitasking today, so I asked Michael McCaffrey to let me go first. Sorry, you'll have to wait for his radio voice for one more minute. I'm just here to do a favor for our friends at the Friends of the Detroit River. So for those of you that have been following the grant that they received a grant earlier on this year to do studies on the Equers Creek and work with all of the communities in the area to do a survey and come up with ideas and locations for trying to fix some of the flood issues that we're having in our communities. So on May 8th, they're going to have their third public hearing. It's the second to last meeting that they're going to be hosting. So I am here to invite everybody to attend their public hearing. And share your opinions about what needs to happen with the Equers Creek. Again, they're working with all of the communities along the Equers Creek River and looking for ideas. They don't have any funding for any specific projects, but they're just looking for survey feedback so that they can take it back to Eagle and we can start coming up with some solutions for the area. So the meeting is, again, May 8th here, 4 to 5 p.m. Friends of the Detroit River. So come share your opinion about the Equers Creek.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, thank you for allowing two ladies to go ahead.
Of course, of course. Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just want to talk about a couple of items. First off, Saturday, May 6th at 11:30 a.m. at the Little Red Schoolhouse, the city and the Boston Tea Party Museum will be honoring Thompson Maxwell. Thompson Maxwell, who spent his final days in Wallaceville, was a veteran of the American Revolution, the War of 1812, and was present at the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. This day, he will be honored as a participant in the Boston Tea Party, one of the legendary events that helped shape our country. So come on out for some light snacks and some words from local dignitaries and guests from the museum. For those of you unaware of the location of this marker, it's on Kinmore Street, south of Ann Arbor Trail, behind St. Sabina's. I also want to thank St. Sabina for allowing event parking and the DPW for all the work they've done thus far. They've cleared all the brush around there. There are like markers getting discovered and all the brush down there, and the bathrooms are all fixed. And hopefully, if there's actually a nice day, we can actually maybe paint the building. But yeah, there's been rain almost every day, and it's been cold, so it's been actually kind of difficult to do. But yeah, they've done a magnificent job cleaning the place up. Also, next Thursday, May 4th at 7 p.m. at Carrollton Kennedy Library, join us for a personal account of the presidential assassination of JFK. join Radford Jones, a retired Secret Service agent, on his account of his time on the Kennedy detail in the summer and fall of 1963, including the day that shocked our nation, November 22nd, 1963. Registration required. Please call 313-791-3800. That's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you all at the library.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yep.
Recreation Director?
Hi,
Kim,
I just,
how are you?
good, how are you?
Good.
I just wanted to let you know that we have a Berwyn open house tomorrow at 10 a.m. Goes until, I believe, 2. So if you want to come by and see what they're doing there, we'll have all kinds of things going on. And then I also wanted to officially let you guys know that I got notification today from the Redskins that their official new name is Dearborn Heights Panthers. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Any other administrative announcements?
Council Chair, okay. I've got one as a Watershed Steward Commissioner.
Okay, go ahead.
The Watershed Steward Commission will be holding its 30th annual Ecorse Creek and Richard A. Young Recreation Center Rain Garden Maintenance Day on May 20th. Registration is at 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can pre-register, I believe, if not, on the website. The flyer may be on the website. Special thanks to Mike McCaffrey for helping us out with the flyer. Can we get that on the website somehow? Can you see if that happens maybe? Or?
Sure.
Okay, and it's a very worthwhile event, very family oriented. We get about 100 volunteers every year, and hopefully it'll be bigger this year. We do a little creek maintenance, and we maintain the rain gardens, which is a very, very special feature in Dearborn Heights that very few people know about. And once again, it's May 20th at the Richard A. Young Center. That's on McKinley Street in the south end of Dearborn Heights. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. registration. We go to about noon. There's free T-shirts for the participants. We're also looking for sponsors for the event. The name goes on the T-shirt. Anybody's interested in sponsoring, you can contact me. Just look me up on Facebook or anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Councilman's got a quick comment?
Yes, thank you. Just to Councilman Wenzel's comments again, there's two different groups. Way back when, Administrative Assistant then Kurt Heisey and I founded the Watershed Stewards Commission, but the city also has the Councilwoman Breyer just stepped down from the Ecorse Creek
I'm still in it.
Commission. So two different groups regarding the May 20th date at the Rain Gardens at the Richard A. Young Center. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Next up, we're going to go ahead and go to public comments.
You got somebody on iPhone?
Yeah, I know. We'll get people on Zoom. So let's go ahead and get started. In the past, we started with people in the audience. Let's start with people on Zoom. So we have somebody called iPhone. You will have 3 minutes. Please state your name, city. Yeah, keep an eye on the clock here, and then if need be, Councilman will flash something in front of my screen right here. Okay, so go ahead and unmute yourself, sir, or ma'am.
Good afternoon. This is Hassan Jamal.
Okay, Director, we're on the public comments now, so are you?
Yeah, you forget to put me on the comments. So.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
No problem. Just the institutional municipal correction, the bond for the CSO and the water meters was not approved by the city voters. It was approved by the city council, and it was published for public comment. The option was for the city council to approve it, not to put it out for general vote. Number two is that the city already have on staff by contract weight trim scouting division that they're doing a great job with scouting for grant, federal or non-federal, and the funding for those scouting and applications are subject to reimbursement if they are federal grants, and if they are not, they will be included in the application of other non-federally approved grants. So, responding to your request, the city already have somebody better than hiring a separate, because those are very, very, very difficult, and the way trend scouting are very expert in multiple various grants. So kudos to the mayor's office by actually bringing this up and bringing it to the public. Number
Director, we gotta go to public comments, that's what we're doing.
Yes, one
Okay,
more thing.
Got one more.
all right, do a quick one, please.
Very quick. We are not the only creature on earth. We share earth with all God or the creator, inhabitant of this earth. We are, or we should be equitable and more fairly treating other creatures of the earth, whether animal, trees, and all this. So, and peace on earth.
Okay. Peace, thank you.
Director.
Okay, next up is public comments for people in the audience. You will have 3 minutes. Please state your city, street, and name. Come on
No
up, sir.
address.
No, not, I don't want an address, just a street name.
Mr. Ned?
Ned, he was okay? Okay, go ahead, Ned.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Ned.
Ned.
Go ahead.
He's walking up, that's why. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Ralph Saunders. I live on Penny Street, and your ordinance fines, you're increasing.
In Dearborn Heights, correct?
Yeah, Dearborn Heights, Penny Street and Dearborn Heights, right off Telegraph.
Right.
The fines that you're increasing, when you give them a ticket, is that a court ticket?
It's ordinance tickets.
Do they just pay, do they just pay it?
They don't pay it.
Ordinance violation.
Well, all ordinance, like I'm going through a problem right now. A woman next door to me tore down a fence. We both have pools, and it's been down since last spring. They give her a fine. She goes to court, and then the judge says her, you pay $100. She goes home. She ain't got to put a fence up. My pool is subject to 2 yards, 3 yards. Her other side of the fence don't have no fence at it. Now, if somebody gets drowned in my pool and they sue me or their animal, I'm gonna come back and sue here for not making her put a fence back up.
Okay, so in regards to that particular situation, sir, that's a specific situation.
That's an
What I
ordinance.
highly recommend, sir, if you could give your name and number to George right there right next to the clerk, she will have somebody from ordinance contact you and then deal with that directly.
They did already issue her tickets, but way I'm understanding it is,
Yes, I'll have him speak.
the way
But please don't give specifics, sir,
okay,
because of,
way I'm understanding this is, once they give her the ticket, she goes to court and the judge says pay $200, go home, she ain't gotta do it. She ain't gotta put a fence up.
okay, Councilman,
Sorry.
That's the way I was told is what's
Okay.
gonna happen, but now my yard's exposed to,
Doesn't void enforcement.
we both have
Okay.
pools.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I will have the director, would you rather speak or would you rather call him tomorrow? Director Dishroom? I'm sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That, there was a ticket issued with respect to that. It has not been to court yet. I'm not
Okay.
gonna talk about that, but
Right.
it will be dealt with in court.
Yes, so if you can have somebody contact him, then again, let's deal with this privately. I don't think it should be public like this.
He lives on
Okay.
Penny Street.
Anybody else? Ned, come on up.
The
Council
ordinance
Chair,
officers has been great to me.
Okay, great.
Council
been
Chair,
good.
the problem here is this has been going on for a while, and this is a safety issue. And going through the court with ordinance, that could take several more months.
Okay, no, Councilman, what I said, the
I know.
director's gonna contact him tomorrow. They will deal with it directly. What I don't want to
Well, it's
become
gonna-
is
gotta go
us as council members to become ordinance officers.
Yeah. Well,
So
we should
let's-
be.
Let them deal with it directly.
I think we should be
Okay.
ordinance officers.
Ned, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Ned Apigian. I live on Rosetta Street in Dearborn Heights.
Thank you. Go ahead.
My topic is the fence ordinance in the city of Dearborn Heights. Those of you that should be familiar with it, I'm talking about the privacy fences that's between neighbors that agree that they can have it. Those fences are to be joined on the rear of each house. the rear of the houses. Half the fences in this city are illegal. One way you can fix them is the rental properties, every 3 years, when they have to have a certificate of occupancy, those violations can be corrected at that time, force the owners to fix the fences. On my street, between two houses and their front yard, they have connected a fence, the front face of the house, which is as wide as this room, 40 feet. I don't know how that happens. The ordinance is absolutely clear about that.
Okay, so for that, again, I'd rather have you, instead of putting out people's personal information on there, contact the director directly, director this room, and I'm sure he'll work with you on getting the situation resolved as far as legalese.
Whoever gives permits should know the ordinance.
Okay,
I
but
don't
again,
have to educate him.
I don't want specifics about a specific property, if you don't
I'm
mind.
not giving you a specific.
Well, you said your next door neighbor, so.
No, I didn't, no, on my street, not my neighbor.
Okay.
It's a fence joining the front face of two houses as long as that wall. And there is some crazy exceptions to the ordinance. When you buy a corner house, the present ordinance allows you to enclose one of those streets, which is, to me, is ugly and shouldn't be allowed. People that buy corner lots should understand what they're getting involved with. That fence should have never been allowed, or people are putting it up without a permit, and the ordinance department is not aware. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ned. Former Councilman Ned Apigian, thank you for your service. Anybody else in the audience that would like to have a public comment? Come on up. 3 minutes, name, city, state. Name, city, street, sorry.
My back's not happy with this meeting going so long. Rachel LaPointe, Merrick Street, Dearborn Heights. Regarding the videos and sort of behavior that's not necessarily ideal, I think it's wise to remember that if someone comes up in public and behaves badly, that's on them. That's not on you guys. And this is a public meeting, and the First Amendment is pretty broad when it comes to what people are allowed to say at a public meeting. I really encourage you guys to research this on your own time. I've read some amazing books on free speech and the court cases that have happened with this. The key one I'm thinking of is, I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's the one where the gentleman during the Vietnam War was wearing a jacket that said F the draft, right? And obviously it was not censored. It was the full word. And the Supreme Court of the United States upheld that he is allowed to say that. And that is not something that the government can restrict. So I really, really encourage you guys to research this on your own time. I also would encourage you guys to read residents' feedback on social media. Not everybody's able to come to meetings, disabled residents, senior residents. And a lot of people, I think, a lot of neurodivergent people, people with autism, ADHD, other different disabilities and things, they find it a lot easier to communicate in written form. And people with anxiety might not be able to come and talk to you one-on-one. They might not even be able to email you one-on-one. Their anxiety might prevent that. But they might feel comfortable, due to their circumstances, posting online where it's public and they can get the support of friends while they express their ideas. So I really encourage you guys to go and check out some of the streams that were mentioned when we were talking about the videos. Read people's comments. Take them into consideration when you're making your decisions. And Mo, please don't defame the possums anymore, man. Possums are great. You're defaming them. You're bulking them in. You were too. You were bulking them in with the other rodents.
Said rodents, the word possum.
You did say possums. I wrote it down.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
If I have to keep defending the possums, well, man, that's my funny part of the night. So have a good night, guys.
I won't use the word possum no more.
No more. Keep
Thank you.
be nice
I'm
to
not
the
gonna
possums.
discriminate against possums.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience that would like to have a public comment?
Thanks for backing me up.
All right, seeing none, one last time on Zoom. Anybody on Zoom? I don't see any.
Move to adjourn.
Council
Move
Chair,
to adjourn.
Council Chair?
One second.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, move to adjourn by Councilwoman Nancy
Support.
Breyer, supported
Second.
by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please state aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, motion carried. Thank you very much, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.